Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota, who is suspended from practicing law as the ethics board wants me to make sure everybody knows. They're very worried I might represent someone. Oh my God, I don't want to do that. Leave me alone. Oh my gosh. But anyway, hey, how's it going, guys? I hope you're having a wonderful day. My day was pretty good. For the most part, I guess. I don't know. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here tonight. We are talking tonight about Trump and the courts. Trump and the courts. That is the key. That's where we're at. Donald Trump has always has, I don't know, 5,000 lawsuits going in different areas, both personal and political. And it is just an absolute mess. I mean, the man is trying to define and sculpt the scope of the United States president, his presidential authority, his presidential power, what it means to be the commander-in-chief, what it means to be the sole organ of foreign relations, what it means to be the chief executive of the United States. And it means a lot of different things. But the crazy part is how uneven my nose is, so how uneven my glasses are. But the crazy part is we don't really know. We don't really know. We have been a country for quite a while now, and we still haven't figured out a lot of these things. Some of these amendments have been in place for over a century, and we still don't know what they mean. Of course, the original part of the document, Article 2, the executive branch, and specifically, it's Article 2 is different than Article 1. Article 1 is the legislative branch. Article 2 is the president and the executive branch. Little bit different than just the executive branch itself, and a little bit different than Article 1 in that way. Because Article 2 does two things. It imbues the power of a king into the executive. The executive power is vested in a president of the United States. Article 1 says the legislative power as defined herein, or as defined in this Constitution, is vested in two houses of Congress, the House and the Senate. The executive branch also lays out executive authority, and that the fact that effectively the legislature can create the administrative state that operates through the executive. So this delineates the two amendments, or the two articles, really importantly, because the legislature, the legislative branch, and the legislative power is defined specifically and contained solely within the document. The executive power is not defined because the executive power was understood as the power of a king at the time of writing, a king in 1791. And so that automatically changes things, because Article 1 clearly defines the powers of Congress, and those are the only powers that they get. Article 2, the executive authority, is nebulous, and it may change over time. Who knows? But should it change over time relative to the Constitution without amendment? I don't know. I don't know about that. Lots of people would say no. Originalists would say no. The original meaning at the time it was writing, that is what it means, and you can't really change that. Other people would say, well, no, the executive power, in as much as the executive power exists and is understood in the present day, is what's imbued in the office of the president. And so that, we have this little conflict going. We always have. But that being said, we have a judicial branch to go ahead and balance everything out, of course, and they're so helpful. They're so wonderful. So with that, we've got a couple lawsuits that Trump is involved in that we're going to talk about. There's some big decisions that came out today. There's some questions coming up as well. And so we want to address those things as well as we're able, see where they're going. And you have to understand, for the purpose of this type of show, where we're gonna look at this, you have to understand that no one knows the answers here. No one knows the answers here. You can't, because there aren't answers to some of these questions yet. They haven't been asked. Now they're being asked. Now the Supreme Court is going to lay out the answers. And then we'll have to see if the president, or the office of the president or whatever, if we don't want to personalize it to Trump, we'll have to see if they agree with the Supreme Court. Because if they don't, we have a constitutional conflict between two branches. And that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. So we're going to get into it tonight with some of those for a little bit. And then after that, I don't know. We'll kind of see where we are time-wise. I have a bunch of Kurt content, of course. We have unbreaded content. There's something I've been holding off on doing, but I might add some occasional dives into the roster on Aaron Imholt content, because I was perusing his show this morning, and the level of incompetence in that person and the lack of understanding of the things he's saying, it's just amazing. Like, it's actually interesting to see how fucking wrong he is about like the financial market today. He talked about the GameStop, the GameStop hold, where effectively a group of people held GameStop stock shares hostage and massively inflated the value by, I won't call it manipulating the stock market, but playing the stock market under the rules that it has, and just doing so in a very specific manner. And to see someone try and explain what happened while simultaneously saying a regular person cannot place a short option, for example, it's just, and to speak authoritatively that they can't do that. It's like, no, literally anybody can. Like, it's amazing. Anybody can do a short option. That's really easy. But so to see him bumble through stuff like that, and then it's every story, but I don't really like him that much. And so it becomes hard to like have mirth and have it just be comical. But sometimes like, he is just so brazenly incorrect. It's amazing. I don't know if we're going to do that today. I've just been kind of kicking it around because I love the Kurt content. I really do. But I want to have a nice roster of people that like we just check in on from time to time. Because I think it's funny. I think it's fun to look at what content people are making and kind of break it down, laugh at it, be marveled by it, whatever it is. And it's something that my time in the whatever, like not in, but like exploring the stupid Dabbleverse has shown me is quite comedic. I mean, I've always I shouldn't say I've done stuff like that plenty of times in the past. Pull up some video of someone and go through it and just kind of like look at, analyze, and sometimes tear down pretty much everything they say. I did that to just some guy, for example, and that's fun. But like that one, it kind of got unfun as well. So who knows? Who knows what we'll do at the end? There's all sorts of shit to do, and it's also like Aaron has taken out a restraining order against me as well, which is completely frivolous. I cannot speak of the details of it, as I'm current it's a weird thing where the hearing that we started is still going. So I can't speak of any details that are involved in that hearing. Makes it kind of tough to talk about the case in general. And so that's fine. Like, we're not going to do it, but just the fact that there is a restraining order that I'm fighting against it complicates things. Which is just how it fucking goes. Like, that's just it. You just have to kind of deal with shit like that from time to time. With that, of course, ways to participate in the show are through super chats, Rumble rants, and super tips, which is the preferred method. Super tips you can find at supertip.gg/RL for Rekieta Law. And that will allow you to peruse a library of voices, AI voices that will read your comment for you. And they can be pretty fun to play around with. Add some character to what you're saying, like this one from Rylan Poole, which came in earlier today.
What up, Nicky boy? I'm really glad you enjoyed the body cam video I sent you. I saw a short clip of it and instantly thought of you.
Thinking about a man that's gayer than Nick Fuentes and Rekieta holding hands.
That's true. That is pretty gay. But no, I appreciated it. It was a funny video. 550-pound woman being an absolute cunt to everyone around, and of course just being generally difficult. And generally difficult is also how her blood cells would explain trying to navigate through all of the plaque in her arteries. But no, that was a good one. So thank you for that. What do we got here?
Did you know that for a man to lay with a man as a woman, it is an abomination to the Lord?
I don't know if it says that specifically. I don't know if it specifically states that, but it does say like to lay unnaturally, I think was the term. Not as a woman. But what is a woman? We don't know. We didn't finish it with the ChatGPT episode with Kurt asking what is a woman, because it got uncomfortable. The Kurt one got uncomfortable because it's like, Kurt, your joke is not working and you're getting mad at the AI. So, well, we do have some super chats as well that we'll hit right here before we jump into the main topics tonight. Alan Ohm says 4 or 5 Nick shows in a row. I might overdose. Thank God Nick is here to fix that. I'm not here to fix any of that. Hey, what's up, Miss Peachy Keen? How are you doing? Tasmanaut says, thoughts on this Machiavellian optics tactic. Announce a plan to fund universal health care for legal citizens using tariff revenue. Dems would oppose, and it would never happen, but could be used to boost approval. McGibbs. The worry would be that they would accept it. Like, they'd be like, oh, no, we like that. We like that. We're good with that. That would be the disaster right there. It's I don't know, but I see what you're going for, right? Like you get the crowd that is all about social benefit programs, and you get them to an around, like in a reverse psychology way, or an underhanded way, I guess is more appropriate. An underhanded way, you get them to agree with other policy issues by funding their by funding their social safety net. How was my day today? It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Ran into some hiccups that are annoying, but they weren't bad things. They're just, they're just things that happen that you have to deal with, like, which is fine. But they weren't like devastating. They didn't make me sad or anything. Just stuff you have to do that was kind of unplanned, and now I have to take care of it. But that's okay. Real Jews 7 Jesus says, get a load of this guy, this goy. You get a load of yourself. You try that, maybe. Oh my gosh. How's the midlife crisis going? It's going. It's moving along. Some days are faster than others on that one, but I expect it to stick around for quite a while. All right, here we go. We've got the bird is the word 1231 says, God bless you, Nick. I'm glad to see you back. God willing, for many more years. Stay strong. Hey, thank you. Will do. Tasmanaut says the Constitution means and says whatever anyone in power wants it to mean, say anyway, since Lincoln ripped it in half. Ooh, very, very kind of a true statement. Lincoln suspended parts of the Constitution. He suspended the right to habeas corpus. He suspended First Amendment protections for journalists who spoke out against the Union, and did all sorts of things. The key to Lincoln is that he did give the power back in many ways. Although the Reconstruction Amendments, 13th, 14th, and 15th, particularly the 14th, arguably, changed the country at a fundamental level away from what it was into something new. And for better or worse, it's impossible to say. We don't know what it would have been like without a 14th Amendment, without applying the Constitution to the states. And that's the ultimate change that was made, was that, the Constitution applied only to the federal government up until the 14th Amendment was passed. And then some court cases kind of fleshed out that it would apply all of the Constitution to every level of government, no matter how small. And that was not in the original plan. Nakadashi Tomodachi says, Aaron said that. Wow, what kind of degen desperate female would hook up with him? No idea. No idea at all. So that being said, we should probably jump into the new... which one should we do first? Let's go with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court issue first, because this one's a little weird. It's just, to me, it doesn't seem like it would be that big of a deal, but of course, everything is that big of a deal. Did I miss J-Bay last night? You did. Wish you were covering the Devin Michaels trial. Woman married a man, had 2 kids, divorced him and married his son, moved her ex into the home, killed and beheaded him. Whoa! That got exciting. That would be an interesting trial. Like how far in is it? I'm not opposed to trying to catch up and watch along. I don't know anything about it. So maybe I can look into it later. Chad King says, so fucking gay, Nick. You failed literally everybody. Well, I don't really know how I did that. But okay. Sorry. Didn't mean to. All right. So this is the Supreme Court allows Trump to prohibit gender election on passports. So this is what I was talking about. I just don't, like, I'm not trans, which I guess maybe makes it kind of difficult for me to understand. But to me, I just don't fucking get it. I don't get why this is a huge issue for the trans community. But effectively, Trump has an executive order that says that you basically have to put in your biological birth gender on your passport. Not your gender expression, not your gender identity, but your birth gender, your genetic sex. S. Nelson 134 over on Locals says, Nick, Lincoln killed and buried the 10th Amendment because he established the idea that a state couldn't leave peacefully. I don't know if he established that. Texas v. White, the Supreme Court did. So what power that is reserved to the states and the people do you think was suspended here? Like, I guess the power to leave the Union? Is that it? It's a tough question. I mean, you can leave the Union. Effectively, it takes, my understanding is it would take basically a constitutional amendment, the same process of a constitutional amendment to have a state removed from the Union. And presumably because you would write out, like, Virginia is no longer in the Union or whatever. Maybe that's how that would work out. But that's, there is an ability to do so. And I believe it's in the Constitution that there's a way to leave the Union as well. The South didn't do it that way. And the reason the South didn't, I'm not being critical of the South here. The reason the South didn't do it by the process within the Constitution is that the South believed that the northern non-slaveholding states had already violated the Constitution by refusing to round up escaped slaves that had crossed state lines, which the Constitution said that if a slave escaped from its master and had crossed into a free state where slavery was abolished, the free state had a duty to round up and reacquire that slave and to return him to the slaveholder at the state's expense. And that's one of the problems that the northern states had, is they were having to expend manpower, as things like the Underground Railroad became more popular and states were escaping into free states. But states, I keep saying states, slaves were escaping into free states, and the northern states were having to expend time, resources, energy, apprehending these slaves and bringing them back, which of course at the time, any kind of travel took a lot of effort. So they kind of decided to stop doing it. It also went against many of the states' policies. The states had policy that, that did not favor slavery. They were anti-slavery. It was illegal in many of those states. And then of course the culture itself didn't really favor slavery either. So with that, the northern states believed they were being ripped off. The southern states believed that the northern states were in breach of their agreement, and the agreement of these states to form and have this constitution and be a constitutional republic. So, the slaveholding states decided to say, hey, you know what? Peace. We're out of here. You guys aren't going to do the thing. You're not holding up your end of the deal. We'll leave. Well, the northern states really didn't like that because the southern states provided, one, they possessed a ton of natural resources, and two, they provided a significant portion of the American economy. So it kind of, it all then spirals from there. Kind of a mess. Tasmanaut says, were slaves not the original H1B software AI engineers because economy? slaves weren't really on the equivalent of an H-1B visa because there wasn't any idea that if they weren't upholding their end of the bargain, they would get sent back or anything. That wasn't going to happen. They were going to stay or be killed or whatever. So not quite the same. Not quite the same. Let's see. We've got Bradley James over on Super Tips.
Hey, Nick, when can we get some more of those sweaty Kurt Creep videos?
I do have a Kurt video where he joins Melanie Little, who's another attorney, where he joins Melanie Little's live stream. And that might be very funny to watch if we wanted to watch that. Again, this is all stuff we would do later after the main portion of the show to kind of chill out and laugh about stuff. But we'll see. Like I said, there's a whole bunch. Chad King says, how does it feel being a former millionaire? Oh, I'm no longer a millionaire. Okay. Thanks for telling me. That's got to suck, which you are intimately familiar with. That's it. Why, if I had a golden ticket, burned it and was only saved by being the son of a rich man? Eesh. I'm not the son of a rich man. It's amazing how many people tell me about my family and they get the most basic facts wrong. And these facts aren't really secret. So I'll leave you to figure it out.
Chad King 375 was promised 6 full inches. Nick delivered 9-inch bangers. Jay Bay, gay Nick Fuentes, his new roommate Kurt, and a lot of uncooked chicken.
That's true. That's true. Press for Time says, you a millionaire? I mean, yeah, I guess. It doesn't feel like it sometimes. You know, my family is very expensive. Like there's 7 of us. It costs a lot to feed 7 people. Like literally just the basic stuff costs quite a bit. But I think on paper, I'm a millionaire. You know, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. The house I live in alone is pretty damn close. Just stay away from the white powder and you'll be fine. Well, no worries there, friend. If I go anywhere near it, I go to prison. Not really looking for that action. It's I'm happy being out of prison. Penny leather. Is this surprising to you guys? You can go look at the super chats on Playboard. I mean, I've made well over $1 million in super chats alone. That doesn't include Rumble. You know, I don't know what to say. Like, I've had a very successful YouTube run, and I'm happy about it. Want to continue it and stuff. Maybe not at the same pace as before, but maybe we'll get back into it. So Chad King says, we will get the footage, Nick. Well, the law isn't on your side, but you know, there's judges don't always agree with the law. We'll see, man. We'll see. But that is a completely different topic. We're not gonna sit and do that. Nakadashi Tomodachi says, can you hook me up with tickets to the Minnesota Zoo? I hear you have connections. Yeah, my connections are, I have been a charitable supporter of the Minnesota Zoo for several years. And actually, no, like that doesn't get you really any benefit. I don't just get free tickets or anything like that. In the years that I support the zoo, we do get a membership for our family, and so we can enter for free, but getting you in is a different question. But the Minnesota Zoo isn't that expensive. You can just go there. It's great, and I believe they even have a free day every week or maybe once a month that you can go to if the cost is prohibitive for you. So look it up.
Your prison sucks with all the unwanted male sexual attention. Don't get your sphincter stretched.
I think people both overemphasize and maybe simultaneously understate the prison rape problem. You know, there's always nuance to everything, right? Like some people are at a really high risk of it and other people just not so much. And it depends on a whole list of factors. But I'm just going to go ahead and stay away from prison. I think that's the best plan. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really want to be in prison. But okay, let's get into the story here. So Supreme Court allows Trump to prohibit gender election on passports. The U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday allowed President Trump to proceed with his plan to require that passport applicants list their sex as what was designated on their birth certificate. The court's decision overturns a lower court order pausing Trump's policy and allowing applicants to choose for themselves whether they would like to identify with an M for male, F for female, or an X for neither. Now, so that's it's amazing that Trump offers the X, right? But what we have is this order, and I believe this is a temporary injunction that was placed. The Supreme Court's like, no, this can keep going. But here again, we have this thing where the government is talking about a passport, and passports are the sole province of the executive branch and of the executive power. This is what we were talking about earlier. What is the executive power? What is the executive authority? Passports are in it very specifically. The idea of a set of papers granting permission to be on the lands of the executive in question has long been kind of just tradition or whatever. And that's always been within the purview of the executive. You can come onto my kingdom's land or you can't. You can leave my kingdom or you can't. You're under my jurisdiction. Do you think you get to just walk off of it? You couldn't always do that. And so the idea of having some sort of paper granting permission to go between different political entities is something that's been around for a really long time. That being said, Donald Trump has decided that for those papers, his administration requires identification of your biological birth sex, the sex designated on your birth certificate, which means that your gender identity or expression does not get represented. And if you're a trans person, even a post-op trans person, if you're a male to female trans, you need to put male down on the thing. And this rankles some people. They say, I am a female now. I always was. I was born that, whatever. But we're going to see here why the Supreme Court just says this is dumb. Male and female sex markers began to be listed on passports in 1976. The government has allowed citizens for over 30 years to request a passport that reflects their gender identity instead of the sex listed on a birth certificate. The choice to use an X, however, only began in 2021 under President Biden. Led by Ashton Orr, a transgender man who is falsely accused of using a fake passport by airport security when traveling with a passport that had a female sex marker, a nationwide group of plaintiffs argued that Trump's policy would hurt transgender and non-binary individuals, would harm the government's ability to identify citizens, and was motivated by unconstitutional transphobia in violation of the 14th Amendment guarantee to equal protection of the law. And here, of course, is where things get stupid. because that is not a violation of equal protection. Requiring everybody to put down their birth sex is not a violation of equal protection. In fact, it is the very definition of equal protection of the law, right? If everybody is treated the same under the law, which means that everybody puts the fact of their birth sex down, then there is no equal protection issue. It does not exist. There cannot be a violation of the 14th Amendment in that case. Quote, the challenged policy undermines the very purpose of passports as identity documents that officials check against the bearer's appearance. Look, there's a bunch of dudes that look like women. There's a bunch of women that look like dudes that aren't trans at all. They're just, they just do. They just look like the other gender. I don't really think that the gender identification is the big thing there. It's like, oh, sorry, you look like a dude and it says you're a chick. But here's the thing. If you establish that the sex or gender marker on the passport is indicative of birth sex, then that part isn't possibly like it necessarily says that this isn't useful for identification purposes, but that it has some other purpose that the government's interested in. And that's fine. Hold on. We got a super tip here.
Roll that beautiful bean footage of Kurt slow cooking brown sugar beans and low-fat Rice Krispies.
Ew. No, does that exist? Hideous. Orr's attorney said in their briefs, it is aimed at the rejection of the identity of an entire group, transgender Americans, who have always existed. Well, actually, not quite. Transgender Americans have not always existed, because transgenderism, as we understand it now, isn't something that was around in like 1820. There was no pre-op, post-op. What are we talking about? That's an insane statement to make. Just Pearly Thing says, Nick, when are you coming on the show? Pearl, how's it going, girl? Last time we spoke, I was thinking I would be streaming a lot at that time, and then I ended up having to take another break. So I'm just getting back into it. Let me hit you up, and we'll set it up. I'd love to do that. By the way, welcome. Enjoy. We're talking about trans people right now, which apparently it says transgender Americans have always existed, according to this trans person's attorney, which I, like many identity politics groups, they far overstate the history of their group's existence. I mean, it's a ludicrous assertion to say transgender Americans have always existed. And I'm not even like, because America didn't always exist. I mean, from the beginning of America on, there wasn't transgender Americans in 1791. Just wasn't a thing. Not around. Here we go. What's this? What do we got?
Why exactly does criticizing Israeli foreign policy and entanglement make you an anti-Semite? Asking for a friend. I heard he was a Nazi or a white supremacist, like that Fuentes clown that no one likes.
Well, I don't think it does necessarily do that. I think this becomes like a difficult and sticky topic really quickly, because in and of itself, asking the questions about how is that worded? Israeli foreign policy and entanglement, that's not anti-Semitic. Those are policy questions of the United States, right? Like, why are we doing this? And you can ask that of anything. Why do we have relations with South Africa or whatever? Like that's open. There is a possibility, though, and some people have a wonderful gift of doing it, to ask those policy questions in an anti-Semitic manner. And so then combining it with the subject matter of the question, people then associate it, negatively at that point. And if it's asked in a negative manner or an anti-Semitic manner, I guess is how I should say that. If it's asked in an anti-Semitic manner with enough frequency, then the automatic assumption is that it is anti-Semitic by nature. It kind of gets incorporated that way. That doesn't make it so. That's just how people treat it. But no, it is not anti-Semitic to ask questions about American entanglement in Israel. One thing, though, that I think gets overlooked quite a bit is a very straightforward and simple thing that Israel is our ally and we've made promises to them. That is a reason that a lot of stuff does happen. And we can question the validity of that treaty and that, that alliance, those foreign relations. Certainly we can do that. We can say, do we really want to remain? Do we want to remain allies with them? And I think the hollowing out of Gaza, right, that happened not too long ago. I think that did make more people start asking the questions. Whoa, why are we supporting these guys? Some of these acts look genocidal. And of course, the Israel supporting people would suggest that that was retaliatory, based on the attempted genocide coming from Palestinian groups and stuff like that. Like I'm not making any sort of value statement on it myself. I don't get too much into that. I don't really care that, but there is a practical answer in that Israel is our ally. We've made promises to them, and those promises are binding. They are law. And so changing those things require acts of the Senate and the president. So you got to talk to them, lobby them if you want it to be different. But no, it doesn't automatically make you an anti-Semite. And it doesn't make your questions anti-Semitic. But if you're like, why don't you give me 6 million reasons why we support the Zionist state of Israel? Like, okay, maybe you should just reframe how you ask the question, because that's not going to help you. All right, back to this. Who have always existed? The government, or as counsel points out, acknowledged that the outing of transgender, intersex, and non-binary individuals was core to the policy. Okay. Again, so what? The government submitted its emergency filing to the Supreme Court after the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit refused to block the lower court order that paused Trump's policy. The government argued that the injunction injures the United States by compelling it to speak to foreign governments in contravention of both the president's foreign policy and scientific reality. So yeah, their argument then boils down to, well, look, we're going to be communicating with other countries, and this is a standard of communication on the issue for how our citizens are arriving. This is a biological male that's arriving there. They may look female, they may be post-op, male to female, trans, etc. But this is a biological male. They were born a man. And again, the consistency of that fact across everyone, no matter of their gender expression or identity, means that it is not violative of the 14th Amendment. All right. With its decision on Thursday, the Supreme Court signaled that it likely agrees with the administration. The court's decision is not a final ruling. However, it just permits Trump's biological sex passport policy to go into effect while litigation continues in the lower courts. The vote was 6-3 along ideological lines, which means, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson were the three dissenters. Quote, displaying passport holders' sex at birth no more offends equal protection principles than displaying their country of birth, the court said in the unsigned order. In both cases, the government is merely attesting to a historical fact without subjecting anyone to differential treatment. And that's pretty important, right? Because if someone was born in the Philippines, and they now live in France, and you put on their passport in the country of origin, you put down France, it's like, well, no, your country of origin is the Philippines. And there are all sorts of reasons that might be useful information, just as there are all sorts of reasons that biological reality may have, may be important for the government who is receiving a person with a passport to know. Let's see. The court sent the unsigned order in both cases. Wait, I just read that. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote the dissent, which was joined by the court's two other liberals. She called the order a pointless but painful perversion of our equitable discretion. That sentence doesn't make sense in this context. I don't know if someone wants to teach her English, but the order, a pointless but painful perversion of our equitable discretion. What are you talking about? No, it isn't. It has nothing to do with equitable discretion at all. Quote, this court has once again paved the way for the immediate infliction of injury without adequate or really any justification, she wrote. First, Ketanji Brown Jackson, as a constitutional scholar, you should know that the executive is not required to justify. It is not required to justify its actions in regards to matters of foreign relations. It just isn't. It is the sole organ. You don't get to fucking do anything about it. The administration owns you on that one. But that said, what is the immediate infliction of injury? What injury is there in writing down your birth sex? I'm not trans. I don't know. If someone can explain it to me, I would listen. But I just don't see the actual injury. If everyone is required to do it. And maybe though, like maybe because I would have a birth gender that is consistent with my gender expression, which is actually an FT. It's not an F because, female was taken, but it's for faggot. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But my gender expression is consistent with my biological gender at birth, right? Like, so to me, there's no big deal in this, but I guess another person could be offended by it, but why? Like, what is the offense? I don't understand. The PTSD of remembering they have a penis. Hey, having a penis does not give PTSD. It's awesome. So I'm told. Optimistic Realizer says Ketanji Brown Jackson is a retard and doesn't belong in the Supreme Court. Yes, that's actually correct. That's a true statement. And you won't find me disagreeing with that. She is objectively dumb when she speaks and in her analysis. So is Sotomayor, right? Very, very dumb women. Elena Kagan, smart woman, just kind of like a weird state activist who is brought in specifically to uphold the Affordable Care and Patient Protection Act, otherwise known as Obamacare. But yeah, so we got that. Trump wins on this. And, these are basic questions. It's frustrating. These are basic constitutional law questions. Does the executive have the authority to set the standards on passports? Well, yeah, almost certainly, because the passports are an extension of these writs of travel that used to exist. And those were in the exclusive purview of an executive, of the king, the lord, the duke, whoever was the governor of whatever land we're talking about. That's where they came from. That's what passports are now. Pass the port, like it's your port pass, as well as your passport, but it is permission to enter in, or to is identification of your country of origin, so that the country that you're being received into knows where you came from, who you are, can log you down, and then get information from that other country if necessary. And these things, some concept of them has been around forever. And they've always been the sole authority of the executive. The legislature doesn't get too much say in it. All right, so moving on. This one is a little bit more personal for Donald Trump, is not at the Supreme Court level. So that, it makes it inherently different than the last one. But this is really important for Trump. The appeals court revives Trump's effort to remove hush money case to federal court. All right, so this is the hush money case where Trump, allegedly paid Stormy Daniels some money to tell her to shut up about having sex with him or something like that. Don't tell anybody I had sex with you. Don't tell them about it at all unless you're complimenting me. Small hands, big penis, that's what they call me. But but yeah, so he apparently pays this woman off, which is like, this is a really weird case because it's not illegal to have someone sign an agreement saying they won't talk about whatever, like a consensual sexual encounter. Like, so it's very, very strange. I don't quite understand what the problem is. You have, this is going to sound bad. It's kind of funny how it's going to sound, but like I've never actually done this, but I get accused of it all the time. I've apparently bought several counties or whatever. It is legal to enter into a contract by which you give someone money and you say, I need you to really not talk about this subject. And they can say, okay, that's legal. That's a legal thing to do. You can set up a contract that says, hey, if you ever do talk about it, you owe me money. You have to pay me. So I'm going to give you money now, and you're going to be giving it back to me in spades if you violate our agreement. So just maybe don't say anything about it. Miss Peachy Keen says, like an NDA. Exactly. Non-disclosure agreements are perfectly legal. Now, non-disclosure agreements are not binding if the non-disclosure involves illegal activity, right? So you can't prevent someone from reporting a crime through a non-disclosure agreement. Can't do that. But you can do, God, damn near everything else. If I don't want you to talk about golf with someone, I can pay you and you can agree to it. I can't force you to do it, but I can pay you, you can agree. And then at that point, it's just a private contract between two people. That's fine. You know about weird cases, don't you, Rackets? The unusual case of Nick Racchietta. I mean, yeah, I do know about weird cases. I guess you would call me weird. That's fine.
The last administration floated vaccine passports. That would be needed to move inside the country. But these fuggers don't want sex on a passport? Who's offended, Thai lady boys? Doubt it.
Thank you for the idea. I've never had sex on a passport. It's on my bucket list now. I really needed that. That was good. Miss Peachy Keen says, are sexual NDAs legal? Absolutely. So long as the sex was legal and was consensual, yes, sexual NDAs are legal. Sexual assault NDAs are not. Sexual harassment NDAs are not. Like, again, you cannot NDA away the ability to report your illegal behavior. But really, I do NDAs on all of these. Everyone wants to talk about it. They need to talk about it. Frankly, they like it. They've never had anything like it in their lives. Never will again. 10 pounds of Trump in the penis. But yes, sexual NDAs are legal. Miss Peachy Keen says, interesting. I think that it would fall under prostitution. It would be illegal. We have a distinction to make here. You said, are sex and sexual NDAs legal? Yes, they are. They are. But prostitution is a different thing than sex. Prostitution involves sex, right? But it is distinctly different, and you can't NDA away prostitution. But the question is whether or not prostitution occurs. Well, unless it's legal, right? Like if you're in that one county in Nevada where it's legal, then you can NDA away prostitution at that point. Chad King says, Nick, I too want to be a sex tourist and turn off every source of criticism, pushback, and negativity. How do? We'll just ignore them all. Like you just ignore all those things. But why would you want to be a sex tourist? That's I don't know, man. Like what, you want to go to different countries and like sample the wares? Is that it? The sex tourism tends to have a connotation of or an association with prostitution or with child trafficking sometimes. So like careful what you say you want to do, I guess. I don't know. All right. So we're going to get, let's get into this. Here we go. The appeals court revives Trump's effort to remove hush money case to federal court. The appellate court ordered a judge to revisit his ruling denying the move. So this goes back like a while. Trump lost his hush money case, 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Now, that again is different. If you are making an NDA and paying someone to be quiet, that's one thing. If you falsify those records, though, that becomes a problem. If you don't classify if you claim that as an expenditure, I guess, you don't classify it appropriately, then you have an issue. Let's see. A federal appeals court on Thursday ordered a lower court to take another look at whether President Donald Trump's criminal hush money prosecution in Manhattan deserved to be heard in federal court. And this is, of course, this would be the trick. The Manhattan prosecution team going after Trump on this was not acting as an impartial arbiter and enforcer of the law. It was acting with specific political motivation against Donald Trump, removing it to federal court if that were the appropriate thing to do, which I believe it probably would be, because if I'm not mistaken, well, I can't quite remember.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. All you have to do to not be a fat ass is stop eating. But seriously, folks, it works. This simple advice helped Grifty's wife lose over 150 pounds.
Not eating is math. It's just math. Calories in versus calories burned. If you don't replace the calories that you burn, you lose weight. If you replace them with a surplus, you gain weight. That's it. It's really that simple. And you too can be the master of your own weight. Eat less. Eat less. What's up, Grifty? How you doing? And yes, Grifty's missus has dropped 150 pounds simply by being disciplined enough to eat less. And if you're a big fat slob or whatever, you can do that too. Or if you're skinny and you just need to lose a couple pounds in specific places, eat less. Just eat less. As the bee farmer, you would have to come up with a rating system. If you were a sex tourist, like a Michelin star, maybe like 2 taints to go. Could you imagine, like, most restaurants don't get a Michelin star. So I guess most chicks that you sex tourism with would be like they wouldn't even rank. And then you get a 1 star. It's like, wow, these cakes are better than any other cakes I've been involved in, right? Like, you get a 3 star. What you gotta wonder, like, what a 3 star, a 3 Michelin star sex experience would be like. Well, you gotta know. Like, have I had one? Because I've had some good experiences. Like, but do they rate it a 3 star? Now I don't know. It's like, oh, dude, are other people out there like outdoing me? Like, I don't know. Fuck, shit. Like, what am I missing out on? What do I have to do? Are the classes? Is it my fault or is it the other person's fault? Like, I didn't. Shit. Now I'm very neurotic about this. Making everyone anorexic as you munch all stream. Yes. Yes, but I'm also anorexic. Like, I'm just okay with it. Oral versus sex ratings have to be separated. Oh. This is a 3-star tonsil queen. However, the meat curtains are not up to snuff. Crying the whole time, but gives you a handy J. That's like a 1 star. A 2 star if the tears are used as lubricant, I guess. Being soberish, getting some funky sloppy seconds is like a 2. Wait, these encounters you're describing are not great. I don't know. Like, I'm not. You, sir, may have some sexual trauma to work through. It's like, yeah, being sober and getting funky, sloppy seconds, that's like a 2 star. Out of how many? 3. Oh my God. Whew. It's like, this Denny's is really good. Oh, sure. Sure. AJ, aka
maybe you got to wonder what 3-star sex is like, not me. All the guys rate me 3 stars or higher.
No, I'm just saying, like, since there isn't a Michelin book and I haven't gone to a rated place, like, I just don't know. I mean, I'm sure I've had, like, you've had like food that's as good as a 3-star Michelin restaurant, like somewhere else, right? Like, it was just a taco place or whatever. Like, those tacos were fucking bangers, but they don't 3-star a taco place. Or maybe you're in a city that doesn't get Michelin ratings. Like, this is all understandable. So, but until you get the star, like, you don't know. You're like, I think we're good enough. I think we're pretty good, right? Like, we're doing okay. Like, your leg's like up there and the other one's like way over there in a different county. I don't know. That's pretty awesome, right? Like, you're upside down at one point, like a picture. You got all sorts of different different things. You're like, but you won't know. You won't know until you actually like get rated, until you get the star. SB Farmer, just because you got food at $200 a plate doesn't necessarily mean that it's that good. Like, oftentimes it is, of course. My favorite ethnicity? Like, how detailed are we getting here? Nick's shoulders are prison girlfriend approved. Yeah, I would ask for like a large prison jumper, and like I would stuff like all the extra underwear up in the shoulders. Be like, no, I'm big, y'all. Don't worry about it. Okay. All right. Okay, after Trump was convicted last year on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, he sought to move the case into federal court from state court due to the Supreme Court's due to the Supreme Court's landmark ruling last year granting the president immunity for official acts. And this is where it gets complicated and why this needs to be readdressed. They basically said that the 34 felony counts of falsifying business records did not fall under official acts of the president because business records of Trump's private companies are not official acts of the president. But that is not the sole consideration. It's every part of the case that was built. And what's up? Jim tells you, thank you for raid and good logic. Thank you for rating as well. Welcome, my friends. And Joe, if you happen to see this, let's talk very soon, my brother. It's been too long, man. I miss you. And we got to catch up. We got to catch up. So yes, the falsifying business records does not fall under the purview of the president's official duties. However, evidence used to prove the falsification may have the evidence may fall under that purview of the official duties of the president. Joe wants a link. Does he? Did he message me? I'll bring him on. Hold on. Where are we? How do I do this again? This way. Copy. Let's make this a ghost party or whatever. Here we go. Just sent that. Joe, good logic. I just texted you the link. I guess I could also I'll send it on Twitter as well. Jim tells you, should I bring Jim on too? Like, we'll just make this a party stream and hang out. We can do that. I've never had Jim on the show, but maybe we should do that. See what's going on. No? Why do we got no's? No nose. No, Nicole, he got it. He nailed it. He was here. Or like he rated here. Everybody's in here now. We're all just giving hand jobs out and stuff. It's great. I'll just wait for these guys to pop in. We'll get to the meat of this story real quick while we wait. U.S. District Court Judge Alvin Hellerstein denied the request, concluding that Trump failed to show good cause for the move after the jury had rendered its verdict. On Thursday, a 3-judge panel of the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ordered Hellerstein, oh my goodness, and Joe's coming, oh my God, to revisit his ruling. We cannot be confident that in doing so, the district court adequately considered issues relevant to the good cause inquiry so as to enable meaningful appellate review, the opinion said. For example, the district court did not consider whether certain evidence admitted during the state court trial relates to immunized official acts, or if so, whether evidentiary immunity transformed the state's case into one that relates to acts under the color of the presidency, in which case we need to be in federal court. Trump was found guilty last year for orchestrating an illegal scheme to influence the 2016 presidential election by directing his personal lawyer at the time, Michael Cohen, to pay $130,000 to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Guys, riddle me this. Would any of you pay $130,000? Because we're going to say this. Effectively, Trump had to pay $130,000 to have sex with Stormy Daniels, and probably like another 10 grand or something. I think that they said maybe they mentioned how much he paid her. Speaking of prostitution,
What's up?
what's up, man? How's
How
it
you
going?
been? I just got done streaming with Joe.
And I sent him the link. Where is he?
He said he was going to come on. He said he wanted to come on.
Sometimes he likes to take a quick smoke break between
I think he vapes now. I don't know.
Well, okay, take a vape break. I don't know.
I got to make my head's way too big. I got to make my head smaller now. Here.
Your head needs to stop eating.
There we go. Better.
Welcome to the show, man, for the first time.
That's awesome.
Glad to have you on.
Wow. It's like, I feel like I'm meeting my favorite movie star.
Oh, no. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. I got to go strangle a prostitute in a closet real quick. Hold on.
All right, go ahead. Hurry up. I'll wait.
Thought you hated fat people. I do. Disgusting. You.
I'm not fat.
No,
just big boned.
I didn't say you were fat. That guy said thought you hated fat people. Now maybe they were implying something, but
Did you hear about the war on fats?
no.
Trump declared war on the fats today.
Oh, I know he negotiated with the manufacturer of Ozempic, and
Yeah, that's right.
he's like
90% reduction.
we're going to get that price down. We're going to get your weight down. We're going to get your waistline down. Everybody will be beautiful. Trump's America, making America great again. God, that's good. If he ran on that platform, I would have supported Trump from day one. He's like, we're going to get rid of him. The fat ones are going. Like I would have been straight out the gate, full on Trump supporter. It took me a while to come around. But yeah. So what have you been up to? What are you talking about? What are you doing?
I do a show every night on the news. Just cover stuff, usually about 10 o'clock at night, Eastern time every night for a couple hours, and then talk. And then I go on Joe's show once a week and talk to him. And that's about it.
Well, I mean, there's nothing else in your entire life. That's it.
Oh, no, I got a bunch of other stuff I do. Grandkids I play with.
Oh, well, see, I asked like what you were up to, and you're like, no, I did this one news show one time.
It's one time. That's about it. Try to stay out of as much of the drama stuff as possible.
Yeah, I'm someone trying to suck me in, and I'm like, a guy, I don't want to be in this. I don't want anything to do with this. Why now? Like,
I saw you on with EVS the other night, and you just dropped out. Like, I'm out.
Yeah, look, all I was trying to do was park a homie's penis into a welcome vagina. Like, that's it. I'm a wingman, at my heart, right? Like, I want to help people reach their dreams. And for some people, those dreams involve having sex with other people. And so if I can make a connection for them, happy to do so. And then it's been an abject disaster ever since. Like, what? I thought I was doing a good deed. No. Nope. Not at all. Speaking of good deeds. Hey, man. How you
Hey,
been?
long time no see, Joe.
Hey, I didn't know it was gonna be a threesome. This is this is all
Well, you turned your light off and everything, so I thought you wanted to get.
Whose house are you coming to?
I forgot which channel I was on when I made that joke.
You should have known that there's always a possibility of extra fun.
Yes. I turned the light off because I feel bad for Lady Logic because she's sleeping literally 6 feet from me. So so I basically feel like, okay, so if I'm doing a show, I always tell her, I'm like, you can go sleep somewhere else, or I can stream. We can move around my studio because but she struggles with the light these days, the light on. So I try to
light on.
What?
Like sleeping with the light on.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I feel like, okay, if I'm doing extended work, if I go on, I'm coming on here or going to locals, for an after show, so I'll turn off the lights. This way she's, she's able to get some sleep.
So I could always kind of sleep in most circumstances because I have narcolepsy, right? Like, so I can sleep through a lot, but I did prefer it dark. Incidentally, after doing drugs for a really long time and just kind of like passing out after like 2 days of being awake at a time, I can sleep in any condition. Like, I can sleep naked, covered in ice. I'll be just fine, and bright lights in my face. Like, I'm out. No big. Yep, I can sleep through anything. TV can be on full blast. It can be interesting shows. I'll still sleep. It doesn't matter. I've figured it out.
For me, my preference is pitch black. If you ask me my perfect preference, it's pitch black, a little cold in the room under covers with my face and 1 foot sticking out of the covers. I need 1 foot sticking out of the covers. Like, I don't know why it is. I know that I'm not alone in this. I know there are other people like this. I cannot sleep with both feet in there. I feel like too trapped or something like that. I need 1 foot out of the bottom of the covers and 1 foot tucked in. I don't want both feet out. That I can't sleep with both feet out. I need one tucked in.
Disgusting and degenerate. Actually, I can't say that. I can literally just sleep with like nothing anymore. Like clothed, naked, doesn't matter. I can have a blanket or not, a sheet, not like it doesn't. I just lay down and I'm done now at any point, all the time.
That's kind of a blessing.
It's great.
No, it really is. That, you know, to not be so finicky about, like, you know, what you need. I kind of have a certain respect for people who are able to put up with a Spartan life. So, and are not so don't need to be coddled and whatever. So, like, yeah, I can respect that. But to the extent I can coddle her by turning off the light, I figure, why don't I try and help her out? Right. And in theory, I could turn my camera off here and no one would even, you know, care. So, I don't care. Well, that's true. I've missed you too, bro. I feel long. It's been very, very long. I feel like a bad friend because I actually saw that you called me last week and I didn't get back to you. I apologize for that.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. Because like I didn't get back to you. Well, I may have. I was looking at our text and it was like the last time I texted with you was December of last year. It was.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I think I was texting you during the trial. During the trial, I texted you.
Was it? You might have. Oh wait, yeah.
I remember the nature of the conversation that we had. I'm not going to go through it, but I remember the nature of the conversation I had. I remember I was walking to the courthourse for the Diddy trial. So that's the last time. It wasn't since last December. It was during the Diddy trial.
It's our last Twitter DM was December.
Oh yeah. I don't talk to you on Twitter.
That's what I was remembering.
Yeah,
my bad.
But now you're streaming. I see, like, every night here. Like, I'm like, wow, Nick's back. So are you finding your schedule?
Yeah, it basically is kind of falling back into what it was. I've got still got a little bit of bumpiness to it because of just getting back into the swing of things, and then trying to marry that with the kids' school and activity schedule.
All right.
It's out there. There are a lot of days that I have to get up at 7 in the morning and drive them to school. Well, 3 of them. Our oldest 3 go to school now full time, and our younger 2 are still homeschooled. But
okay.
My second son, my first son started at a private school at 9th grade, and then so the next son, he just entered 9th grade, so he wanted to go into school, and then my daughter, who's 2 years younger than him, she decided she wanted to go into school as well. She's kind of a social beast, and so like a different environment than homeschool for her, and so we were like, okay, yeah, go for it. But the younger 2 are still mostly home with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's good times, man. They're wild. Like they're getting funnier and funnier. It's going to be devastating at some point.
When they grow into people that you can actually have a real conversation with, as opposed to conversation where you're sort of like patronizing. You know what I'm saying? Like when they're like 8, 7, 8, 10, you really sort of patronize. When they start growing into having their own unique personalities, where we actually have a conversation that you have a thought, and they'll say something at you which will just sort of like surprise you or make you think. That's when you're like the nature relationship just shifts. That's what I found, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, so all of my kids are involved in various arts of their own choosing. My son is my oldest son is probably the most prolific. He's a musician, he's a writer, he's an animator. He does all these different things, and he's got a very similar sort of mind to mine in like the approach to things. And so we really jive talking about movies and art and literature, because he analyzes things in a similar way that I do, but with a completely different perspective, a much more innocent perspective. And then of course, a much more rigidly Christian perspective than mine. Cause
interesting,
my
cool.
Christianity is like old and weathered, like, it's a stone block that's still there, but the edges are a little bit rounded and pockmarked and all that stuff.
Right. No, that's pretty cool. And that is also a different thing, that it's a weird thing that with one child, sometimes I have my middle daughter, I think, no, seriously,
no, sorry. Panzer said, and much less gay.
Yeah. Yes. Now my second daughter, I have 3 daughters, and the second one thinks more like I do than any person I've ever met in my life. Where it's like, if I say, it's like the weirdest thing. We can be sitting listening in conversation, and they'll say something which no one else in the room will react to, and I'll just sort of like, my eye will sort of like pick up, and when I glance over, she's doing the exact same expression as me, and and invariably she'll just sort of like look at me as if I had the same expression, and like we'll sort of like meet eyes and just sort of like chuckle and like just like move on from it. And like when I'm talking to her and I have some sort of perspective, she understands where I'm going as soon as I start explaining something. She's the first one in the room to get it. Her siblings are at least as intelligent. She's very bright, and her siblings are also similarly intelligent, and she's just like naturally attuned to how my brain works. And it's the coolest thing in the world when you're talking to someone like that, who like you feel like just really gets what you're saying, and offers something slightly different also at the same time. It's a very comforting type of relationship.
It's like speaking the same language.
Yeah.
Yeah, my oldest son is very much like me in that way, but my oldest daughter is probably more like me, because she has more of my sense of humor as well, which is not good. She's getting in trouble in school constantly. She got detention on her first day.
Get out. Really?
I was like, oh yeah.
Do we get the story?
It wasn't that.
Was she mad if you tell us the story? I don't want to.
No, it wasn't anything crazy. She was just with some friends, and like the first day was they had this thing where they had to take a bus somewhere, and they were just like, she and her friends were just loud. Like they were just loud in the back of the bus, and so they were just annoying the bus driver or whatever. So they got detention for it. But
okay.
She's sometimes forgets.
It's pretty funny. Mr. K's asking, was she calling people fat? Now that would be a very.
He does that from time to time, but usually just to me. Like she doesn't do that to other people or anything. She's not a bully. But we joke about everything, and she's kind of like my prime homie right now. Like we hang out a lot and
cool
and stuff. She's always like, "Dad, take me shopping." Okay, fine, of course. Now I'm broke. Anyway. So I've been talking about Trump and his court victories happening today.
Oh, cool.
He had his appeals court brings back his, I guess, fight to move his conviction to federal court, or to remove it from Manhattan to federal court. Right. And he won that. Originally, the district court said no. The judge said, no. Your convictions are going to stand. That was probably like 4 or 5 months ago, I think.
Well, no, actually, the convictions in New York were back in May last year, I think. Like
yeah,
May.
He had tried to get it to remove to federal court after because the convictions happened. Then we got the Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity that followed, and then it removed to federal court under the presidential immunity.
That makes sense. I was wondering why because I was like, this sounds like I would think you would try to get it removed before it went to trial. So you're saying it's because of the presidential immunity thing.
He did I believe he did try to get it removed before he went to trial, arguing that since he's the president, it needs to be in federal court. It shouldn't be in, state or city court or whatever. And they denied that. And they said, no, these are not, this has nothing to do with you being the president. And then
the Second Circuit rejected that claim.
Right. And then then he got the presidential immunity ruling tried again. And the Second Circuit again rejected the claim.
Well, the district court in New York rejected. Now the Second Circuit has overturned that.
Right. Yeah. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals came in and said, yeah, you have to look at this again. And specifically, they didn't look at if the introduction of evidence implicated official acts immunity.
Right.
And so I can
correct you because I'm a lawyer, so that's why.
Correct me all day.
I had to bust your balls on that one time. Come on.
You can correct me anytime, Joe.
I had to bust your balls.
Yeah.
So
this is wild. And then the other thing he won on today was the passports, of course, where he's got a trans passport policy where you have to list your birth gender. Your biological birth gender on your passport, not your gender identity or expression. And, district court put a hold on that. And then Supreme Court is like, no, that's fine. That's perfectly okay. So he's locking him down. And of course, the tariffs are coming up. And we're going to find out if a president can put tariffs on things.
I want to get your thoughts on that.
I can't see why a president couldn't put tariffs on something, because we go to the sole organ test, right? The president is the sole organ of foreign relations. Tariffs are inherently foreign relations. And once you have the president on foreign relations, then the Supreme Court really should say this is a political question, use political question doctrine, and then pull themselves out of the case. Victory Trump. That's the analysis I would go with. They may not do it that way.
Did you listen to the oral arguments at all?
No, I'm not Kurt.
Okay.
Basically, it sounded like the people who are suing Trump made the argument that if he wanted to, he could just embargo and basically stop everything from coming into the country, but not put a tariff on it. That makes asinine no sense how you could.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that's I guess the counter argument to that would be that the reasons for the embargo may not be trade related necessarily, and so you could have a national security embargo, for example, or something like that. Maybe you put an embargo on the importation of meat because of they had this. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a listeria scare on some pre-made pastas that were in grocery stores all across the country. 6 people have died from it, 25 hospitalizations, and then 27 further illnesses from this contaminated pasta that people were buying. So, but you could see something like that happening, maybe on certain meat products or something. And so a president would put some sort of embargo on the importation of meat for a couple of weeks until they got it sorted out. But so you could say that there's some sort of security or general health and welfare of the citizenry that the president's concerned with. But I just think the president has the authority under foreign relations to impose a tariff and to say, look, no, this is what we're going to do. We may not agree with those tariffs, but then you got to change the president, right? That's the answer.
Well, so I'll give you the counter to that, and I want to preface this by saying, I in philosophy agree with you that that's the way I think it should operate, precisely for the reasons you articulated. That the president is in charge of foreign relations. He's the tip of the spear. He's the only one who's really responsible for our foreign relations, according to the Constitution. And you would think that when it comes to tariffs, that should be his exclusive call.
Right.
But the Rand Pauls of the world will point to Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. And if you pull that up, it says the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. Well, duties seems to be an old-fashioned word for tariffs, right? I mean, how is it not tariffs? That's what duties are. So, the same way you pay someone, the same way when people come in from international, that they fly internationally and they buy the duty-free shop because they're basically, avoiding that. So that's what, to me, as far as I assume duties is referring to tariffs. So it's a constitutionalist would say to you, it's nice what you want to interpret that should be part of his powers, but the founding fathers didn't put it that way. Now, if you ask me, I think the founding fathers got it wrong because I agree with you. And I guess in theory, you could sort of look at it that the tariffs have two different agendas behind them. One of them is to raise money for the United States of America, and all financial matters and matters in that regard is more of a legislative congressional power. On the other hand, you could look at it as a way of international relationships, and that should be exclusively the jurisdiction of the chief of the executive branch, and it should be an Article 2 power. Now, I agree with you, as we're seeing here in our current status, the way the country operates, it should be an Article 2 power. But if we don't have any statutes that are drafted, I think that historically it has been regarded as an exclusive Article 1 power, even though I disagree with the founding fathers themselves on the call they made here. So I don't like the way they wrote it, but that is what I have to sort of take the Constitution they gave us. And as brilliant as it is, this is probably the biggest area where I disagree with the way they constructed it, because I view tariffs as a method of dealing with foreign governments, not as a way of raising money for the United States.
And specifically, the tariffs in question here are tariffs imposed by Trump for the purposes of leverage, generating leverage in negotiations and in deal making with these other countries. That's what the tariffs are for. Like, they're not for raising funds or anything like that, which the purpose of the tariff, maybe that would be the kind of the tip, right? The ticker there, because Congress is the one who's in charge of levying or raising funds. What I will say is that duties, imposts, and excises don't necessarily mean tariffs, and imposts and excises actually seem to, by their definitions, imply within the country, not international. Duties is the question, and that's of course the one that you brought up. And
duties are charged when you bring something into the country, like you personally, your citizen, you're bringing something in the country. That's why you go to the duty-free shop at the airport here in the U.S. and buy it. That way you don't have to pay the duty.
So there was a statute that was passed, I think, in the 60s, where they basically opened up the possibility of there being an emergency situation whereby the Congress has now authorized the president to levy tariffs. And they say in those circumstances, now if the president if there's a state of emergency, the president can impose tariffs. And then and that would have to be ultimately confirmed by Congress within 60 days. So that's really what I think the whole issue is here, is his ability to declare an emergency, and whether or not, and first of all, who has the right to declare the emergency, and what happens, let's say, if they don't confirm within 60 days, and all those other issues that if it doesn't get confirmed now, well, was there not a state of emergency anymore? Could he redo it again? I think that's what the Supreme Court here is dealing with. And
I thought it was that they had to, if they wanted to, they could overturn his declaration of it being an emergency.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I haven't looked at the statute and I plan on doing that before. Actually, I do plan on listening to the oral arguments, and I think it's a really interesting discussion, because I actually, when I first was reading up on this, I was like, my integrity tells me that this is what the law is against Trump, even though I really want the law to be on his side, because I think that he's uniquely capable to help better America by being able to basically leverage our purchase power, the ability for other nations to access the vast spending wealth of the American dollar and the American consumer, and that's an attractive thing, and that the ability to basically hit them and reward people who treat us well and punish those who treat us poorly or who work with unfair practices like slave labor and things of that nature, to punish the Chinas of the world that way. I think that he's uniquely situated, and that because, as you're pointing out, the foreign relations and how it's helpful for him to be able to say, okay, we'll cut your taxes by this much, we'll cut your tariffs by this much, or we'll raise them because you're being a jerk. And it gives him so much more authority to put America in and basically wield the BDE that he likes to wield in dealing with these foreign nations. This is a massive asset that he can basically slop in their face if he's authorized to do it, and the Rand Pauls of the world are basically neutering and handcuffing him when he's trying to go out there. So it's very frustrating to me, but I can't deny the fact that the starting point to me is Article 1, Section 8, and he's got to find a statute which authorizes him to have that authority. And I sort of resent that the founding fathers put it like that.
Well, here's my mild pushback counter argument, and note that this is coming from just quickly Googling through the different terms and that are used in Article 1, Section 8 that we're using here. But duties include something broader than tariffs. Tariffs are specific taxes on imports and exports, right? And that's it. Duties can also be on the manufacture or sale of goods. And so Congress having the power to under Article 1, Section 8, what was the language specifically is lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises should be uniform throughout the United States. So while I agree with you that duties can include tariffs and are mentioned in Article 1, I don't think it is sufficiently clear that Article 1 is the sole place where duties exist and that all duties are covered, because it says that they will be uniform throughout the United States. That seems to imply within the United States, and imposts and excises are certainly within the United States. So I think there's the argument, as I would make it, would be that Article 1, Section 8 is Congress's ability to regulate what happens within the country, right? And Article 2 gives the president, again, as the sole organ of foreign relations, the ability to control tariffs.
There was a court case previously on this stuff with Nixon. That Nixon was actually it was approved that Nixon did the right thing.
He did the right thing there. That's an important case, and I think you're making a healthy distinction that I hope you're right, Nick. I hope the Supreme Court agrees with you. I want him to have the power to tariff as he sees fit, and I can see an argument along what you're saying to push back on the initial argument I made, which is that a duty is really everything that crosses our border gets price X, and it doesn't matter what country it's coming from. It's just this much tax is thrown on to anything we import from anywhere in the world. If it crosses that line, whether it's coming through Canada or Mexico or any port of entry or dropped in here by airmail, doesn't matter. Whatever's coming in here, there is a tax of 0.3% on it that will be paid to the United States of America. That is different from a tariff, which is country specific. And because of the fact that, and that I think it's a logical distinction to make, that because of the fact that the president needs to be free to leverage with these different countries, that should be a power which is implied to be possessed by him, and that's why it should be distinguishable from a duty, which is just general raising of money, as opposed to specifically how are we dealing with country A versus country B or country C. So I do think that's a healthy distinction, and it's a fair logical point, and it's consistent with principles, with constitutional principles based on what the objectives of each of these different branches of government are supposed to be doing. So I like it. I hope they agree with you.
Me too. Mainly so I can rub it in someone's face.
It would be a statutory victory, though, right? I mean, because it would be a statute that gives Trump the power, not the Constitution, correct?
No,
Yours-
It would be constitutional.
Yeah, the power is just in the executive authority of Article 2. So my favorite Article 2, the opening of Article 2 is about, I think it's my favorite part of the Constitution. And it's because the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. That's the first line of Article 2. That's amazing. If we go to back to Article 1, if we go back to Article 1, we get all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which will consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. So Article 1 is very limiting. It is limited to herein granted powers. So you've basically got Article 1, Section 8 and 9, which are those are the powers sections of the Constitution. And that tells you what Congress can do and no further. Congress has no authority beyond what's there. Article 2 is more vague, again, saying the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. The executive power, as it's understood in 1791, is the power of the king. And that's it, the power of the King of England, effectively. And so that power, all of it, is vested in the president of the United States, except those powers which are then extracted from the king and given to the judicial branch and the legislative branch, right? Like under our system. So that means that anything that is traditionally in the purview of the king is the purview of the president, unless it's specifically given to someone else. And this has been something I've been kind of railing on. I mean, ever since I started my YouTube channel, I've been railing on this. And I was talking about it, privately before that. We think we know what presidential power is. But what we consistently find is that when presidents go up against the legislature, the Supreme Court very frequently defers to the president when you really get down to it. If it's a question of presidential authority, presidential power, and there's not a very specific thing taking that power away. Because the executive authority was so broad at the time of writing, an originalist is going to say that the president has much more power than we commonly think of. And the reason we think that they don't, it was just the handshake agreement that the president had as they worked with legislatures over the past 2 centuries, right? They didn't exercise the executive power that they had when they could at all times. Oftentimes the president would defer to Congress, prefer to have a bill passed or a constitutional amendment, because that is politically expedient. It reduces their political risk and exposure. And also, if you can have policy that's in alignment with Congress, as Joe knows, I'm sure it's the Frankfurter test, right? You're more likely to have your policies survive a Supreme Court analysis. Because if Congress and the executive are aligned, then pretty sure it's going to hold up, unless it's an overt violation of rights or something like that. Mm-hmm. So all of this comes together, and we just think that presidents don't have the power because they've stepped back from doing it throughout history. This is why I like Trump, and it's the only thing I liked about Obama. They both pushed on what presidential authority is. When Obama basically amnestied 1.2 million green cards, he's just like, no, we're gonna have 1 million or 2 million green cards. I don't like that he did that, but I like that he lined up that a president can do that. That got laid out. Yeah, this is within the executive power, because of course, granting citizenship is traditionally within the executive's power. And so we see these things consistently happening. And when the president actually fights, the president wins more often than not. And if he doesn't have to worry about the political will or political capital, if he's expended that political capital and is now a lame duck president like Trump is, he has the ability to really go after a bunch of policy stuff. And we're seeing that over and over. I mean, he defined presidential immunity. 250 years, we didn't have criminal presidential immunity. And Trump's like, we're going to have that. We're gonna have it. I need that right now. But he gets it. And we're going to see this with pushing on the tariffs. We're going to see it with, there's another there's another big thing coming up, and it's like, oh, the president can't do that. It's like, watch him do it. Well, even this, there's something that he lost today. What was it? In district court, they shut down something. And
he always loses in district court and then wins an appeal.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? And I was screaming at one of my audience members yesterday about the the immigration ban he did in his first term. And of course, he goes all the way up, and Supreme Court's like, of course the president has the power to do this. And it's like, the president has so much more power than we give him credit for. And that's also scary. And I love that Trump's laying it out and actually getting it defined by the Supreme Court, because if we define it, we can then go, wait, we don't really want that. Then we can amend it out. Then we can start to put restrictions on the president that maybe need to be updated from 250 years ago.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've tried explaining while I've been having this show also. The way the law operates, everyone assumes the law operates because this is what is written in the law. The law operates, and has always operated, based on what custom and practice is. Now, there could be a statute, and that might adjust custom and practice. But then the question is, if someone now runs afoul of that statute, ignores what that statute is saying, now what happens? We still don't know how to interpret or understand the application of that statute until someone tries challenging them by charging them with a crime or suing them or something like that. And then you have a court weigh in saying, okay, this is now, we're going to start defining what the statute means and how that's going to affect people and their conduct with each other. And then that court can be appealed, and their interpretation could be changed all the way up to the Supreme Court. But until you start getting to the first levels of appeal, we don't know what any of these statutes really mean. All we have is custom and practice, and particularly what you were just raising with respect to immunity and the idea and the pardon power, which is, this is an area which has never been tested. And the point that I made is, when you give a blanket pardon, I don't think that that's a valid pardon under the law. I think a pardon, if it's coming the power of a king, the king would pardon an offense, not the person. That you committed offense against the country, and I am now pardoning you for that offense that you committed against this country or against our laws. I am pardoning that action you did. It's not I'm conferring upon you a holy status. It's that I know what you did here, and I am forgiving that. So when someone issues a blanket pardon and they say all your actions associated with building COVID and unleashing it on the world, and I have no idea what that action is, and maybe you took 10,000 children and chained them up in a basement and then injected them with ridiculous poisons, and that's what I'm forgiving. I don't think that makes sense. If the president knows that you chained up those children and did or strangled those beagles like Fauci did, and he knows you did that and says, I pardon those actions, yes, he has the blanket pardon power to pardon that. But he has to have knowledge of the offense, or the actions at the very least, that he is pardoning those actions and whatever offenses may arise from that action, not just pardon everything that relates to the J6 committee or Fauci with COVID or Hunter Biden in any time in the last 10 years. And I don't think that the pardon that was issued by Ford of Nixon, I don't think that was a valid pardon. But we don't know whether or not it's valid. We will only start to know that once someone gets a pardon, and then a prosecutor says, I don't give a damn about your stupid pardon. I'm still charging you. And now when you waive that pardon in front of the court and say, you can't charge me, then we'll have a court weigh in whether that's a valid pardon or not. And at that point, we'll know, is it a good pardon, or is that a valid pardon to issue when it's a blanket pardon or not? And I think that Trump it would be well in his interest to know whether or not a blanket pardon works, because if there'll be a determination, let's assume that Fauci or the J6 committee, that they get charged on one thing or another, and they waive that pardon, and the court defines this is a valid pardon or it's not a valid pardon. He will know when he's walking out the door, and because he should be issuing blanket pardons to himself, his kids, to everyone, and basically give those pardons out to protect himself, because they're certainly going to go after him. They're going to go after his children. They're going to go after Ivanka and Donald Jr. Jr. and Eric and Barron. They're going to go after all of them. And you know they're going to. So he should be giving them blanket pardons, and he should know whether or not they're going to work. And the way you know is you'd rather have it tested on your enemies than have it have the parachute tested on your enemies, whether a parachute works, rather than testing on your own children. So that's why I think that he should be going forward these prosecutions, getting these prosecutors to do it. And also with respect to the power of the king, all these people I was just saying on the show before, all these people who say that the DOJ has to be independent. No. The DOJ works for Donald Trump. He's their boss. And if they're not his man, then they're a bad DOJ. And in fact, that is democracy, because we elect President Trump to decide who's going to be running the DOJ, and he'll direct them on what areas they should focus on. So these are constitutional areas that I just wanted to sort of get out here and get off my chest. But
let me ask you a question about the pardon, because doesn't it specifically say that the pardon is absolute of the president? And that would
the only pardon that is not allowed is a pardon of impeachment. That's it. Everything.
So that would be like the whole ends of the presidential powers, and then you're talking about what the presidential powers is. And when SCOTUS going to defer to what they consider the king could basically declare whatever he wanted back in the day. I agree with you, Joe, in theory, that I want it to be the way you're saying. I just don't see it really ending up that way if it gets tested.
It says if you pull up the pardon power, it says his power to pardon any offense, not to pardon any person.
So he could say I'm pardoning for any offense.
What I'm saying is he has to know what he's pardoning. He can say I'm pardoning for every act of murder he ever committed. He can say that, but he has to at least know what he's pardoning.
Well, instead of saying for any offense, then it wouldn't have to say for an offense, or for a number. For saying for any offense, can't he say I wholeheartedly agree with your argument that it should be that way. But what I'm saying is I think it's not going to be that way, because it's a plenary power that is given to the president for any, and he could just say, I was pardoning for any offense he may have committed.
He has the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States. Does he have the power? There's power to grant reprieves and pardons for people. No, it says for offenses against the United States. That's the exact language of Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1.
Now, the counter argument is that in issuing a blanket pardon, a president says, I'm issuing a pardon for all offenses committed against the United States by this person, right? Like that would be the argument. And whether or not that holds muster is
holds mustard or muster?
Muster, I said.
Are you sure?
I don't even like mustard.
Well, Joe, here's another point. How would you determine that the president didn't know what he was pardoning him for?
Because he doesn't even list it off.
Does it say he has to list it off somewhere?
Well,
how do the president can pardon without writing anything down, according to the Supreme Court? Like they can just the president can issue a pardon by telling the DOJ stop investigating.
I pardon you.
Literally, he can hold it in his mind that a person is pardoned, and then when it comes up, he can be like, no, that guy's pardoned.
That follows along with the declassification things. The president could just declassify stuff by an action or by talking about it or by.
I see that was always my thing with Trump and the classified documents thing. I said necessarily by removing these documents to a non-secure location, then he's deemed them to be unclassified. Like that's it. It's very simple. By his natural action, he has declassified these documents, and there's no analysis that needs to be present because he is in charge of national security and he has all authority in that matter. So you cannot state that a president, or like you can't put a method by which a president must exercise his inherent authority. Like that would be an improper restriction on the president. So the question, and I think you raised an interesting argument, Joe. The question is a blanket pardon, is that a pardon of the person or a pardon of the offenses? And does that matter under Article 2? I think the Supreme Court is going to be inclined to say that we don't get involved in pardons. If the president says someone's pardoned, then he does. With Biden, I think one of the issues that I found interesting that them going after is the auto pen. Like, does the auto pen mean that Joe Biden actually issued the pardon or not? And like that's a real question. Is the auto pen functionally sufficient to issue a pardon? Because was he even cognizant of the pardon being issued, right? Like,
I think so. Let me ask you this: if he tells his secretary, sign that pardon for me, so put my signature on it, I think we all would agree that that's a valid pardon. As you just pointed out, it doesn't have to be in writing. So he's expressing his will and it's manifested there. So that would be fine. So similarly, if he tells someone use the auto pen to pardon that person, I think that's okay. He simply has to have the cognizance of it. The question is whether he ever had cognizance about these pardons. That's really what it boils down to. Right? I mean, or was it just done, or is it just a bunch of clerks or officials, whether it was Ron Klain or Obama or whatever number of idiots who were running around in that Oval Office who were just authorizing and not even bothering to tell him because the guy was in a vegetative state.
Doesn't the 25th Amendment kind of imply that if he's not competent in the mind, he should not be taking these actions? And
you're not going to, that argument will never hold water, because at the end of the day, you can't prove that he was incompetent at that time. As much as we all can see what he was.
Unless the 25th is exercised.
Right. Unless and until it's exercised, you can't say that what happened a day earlier, before it was exercised, that he was in an insufficient cognitive state. We all saw that. We all saw how he looked in that debate, and still, you can't say that means he's incompetent the next day when he's feeling better. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know that he didn't have 10 minutes of lucidity. So,
right. So I think there's a Federalist paper on this, on the pardon power, written by Hamilton. I haven't read it in a while. I don't remember which one it is. My brain's saying Federalist 38, but I think that's wrong, because I think I'm just making that up. I don't know why my brain's saying 38, but I know I've read specifically the Federalist paper on the pardon, because it was where Hamilton, the main thing in that discussion is treason and acts of treachery or whatever, because he lays out specifically that people can illegally assist a president in getting elected. Once he's elected and inaugurated, he can pardon them for those illegal actions that they did to get him elected, and that is okay. That is actually in the intent of the pardon power, that they had discussed this specifically during the Constitutional Convention, and they had left it solely at impeachment. That is the only restriction on the pardon.
Someone's claiming it's Federalist 74.
It is 74.
Okay, there you go. I said
now I'm curious. Now I'm curious to read that. I'm going to try and check that out, because I'm very curious about this topic. So I'm going to try and look that through. Thank you. I had no idea it was
1788.
Yeah. Someone actually just sent a chat referencing, and I think correctly, auto pen relevant, filibuster's time pressing. So can I get your thoughts on the filibuster? Because I actually think I came up with the solution to the filibuster problem, but I want to get your thoughts as should they abolish the filibuster or not?
I think the filibuster is bullshit. I don't understand, because one, it's never actually honored, right? Like they always get some sort of talking break, or they get to go to the bathroom. It's like, no, I'm sorry. Shit yourself in front of everybody. Stay up there.
No, we're not talking about that filibuster. We're talking about the 60-vote filibuster. Should we abolish the 60-vote filibuster, open up the government, and if
everything's just a simple majority? Is that what you're saying?
Or have a simple majority? Because that's what the Senate. There are a bunch of senators who are talking about. Trump is calling for the abolishment of the filibuster, saying you're fools if you don't think Democrats are going to do it as soon as they have the power. That they're going to be abolishing it. You're idiots if you don't realize that that's what they're going to do. And I'll tell you that even Fetterman said they wanted to do it, but Manchin wouldn't allow it. They didn't have the votes. Manchin and Sinema stopped them, basically, but they wanted to do it. They were going to get rid of the filibuster.
Fetterman is my favorite person now.
They've gotta hate having Fetterman around. Like, there we get rid of filibusters.
Yeah. So
I eat soup now.
So yeah, so that part of the filibuster, do you think that's BS also? The 60-vote rule?
Yeah, I don't know why we have why we have a 60-vote requirement.
Why do we have blue slips?
It's because they've determined it in their own rules. Like, this is how we pass these things, right? Like that's it. And we do say that Congress and the House and the Senate have the ability to set their own rules. But I don't know why we hamstring our own government in this way. Like we're already a representative republic, so we've eliminated like the simple majority problem that direct democracies have, right? Which is the power of the majority to basically ramrod and suppress the minority, right? Like that, because if you have an actual majority of 51%, you control the whole country in a simple democracy. But we don't have a simple democracy. We have layers of abstraction that protect us from that already. So yeah, I think we should be at simple majorities for passing things in Congress. That may be a disaster though, and we may want to constitutionally amend that because we may determine or we may find out that if we have everything by simple majority, that Congress does too much because these people are fucking retarded and probably should all be executed. And so they certainly shouldn't be allowed to just run roughshod over the American people. I want Congress to do nothing. I want 4 years sometime where they don't pass a single damn law. The only laws you can pass are ones where it repeals something.
Well, did Congress pass a statute that specified that the filibuster was going to stay, and then it would, you know what I mean? Like somehow that it has to be some kind of statute to codify it. That way they can't just get it. And if the Democrats don't go along with passing it, then you just say, fuck it. We blow it up and we do what we want to do.
It'd have to be an amendment, I think, if you wanted it.
Would it have to be an amendment? Because if it's Congress passing a statute to rule themselves, to say it has to be a 60 vote to change this. And it's a statute that's passed by Congress.
See, you're touching on the solution that I think solves this entire problem and fixes this looming sort of Damocles that we have, that one day the Democrats are going to get power and that they will reduce the filibuster. And the next thing you know, they're going to start banning guns everywhere, canceling everyone, and basically ripping to shreds their mortal enemy, which is basically tens of millions of MAGA. So that's the fear we all have. And I think that's a legitimate concern and that it will happen one day. And I have the solution to this problem. And you just touched on it right now, Jim tells you. And this is the solution. I actually threw this at Ron Coleman. I asked him to give me feedback, and he said, I need to look at this. I gave it to him this evening. And he said, I need to look at it in the light of day. So I can't tell you it's Ron Coleman approved. But here's your answer for the whole filibuster problem. You kill the filibuster and open the government up. And then you have Congress, like you're saying, instead of being a Senate rule, make it a statute. That there is a filibuster, there's a pause on the filibuster. We have the normal filibuster. There's a pause on that filibuster that dies automatically on December 31st, 2026, the end of next year, before the next Congress comes in on January 1st or January 3rd. When they come in, the next Congress gets sworn in. It automatically dies. And once it dies, the filibuster must remain in effect for a minimum of 10 years. Now, you want to throw in there that you have the ability to extend this filibuster pause period. So let me just finish, and then you'll feed me back, okay? Yeah. So we would have this period now between now and the end of 2026 would be a filibuster pause period, and that we have the right to extend this filibuster pause period for an additional 2 years, as long as you exercise that right during the 2 years. So before December 31st, they say we want to extend it for 2 years. That Congress has the right, that the Senate has the right to do that. In the interim, what you would pass in 2026 is you mandate that for all federal elections that there is no mail-in ballots, that voter ID voter photo ID is required to vote. You take out, you can actually even restructure and say that you're only getting delegates based on the number of citizens that you have in your state, not based on the number of illegal aliens and tens of millions of illegal aliens you want to hoard in your state, which would strip California and New York of at least 10 delegates overnight. And that way, I'll tell you right now, if you pass those elements there, the Democratic Party is done on the federal level. You will control the government forever. because that's what they're reliant on. They're reliant on all these loopholes. They're reliant on the fact that they have, and California's doing what they're doing. They're relying. That's why they're bringing the illegal aliens. Why is it in New York they say, oh, come to us, we're a sanctuary state or sanctuary cities? Because they want the illegals to come there, because that buffs up their numbers and gets them more federal power in the House. So we stop all of that, and we basically say that you're representing the citizens of the United States. You're not representing these illegal aliens. And boom, this way we keep that filibuster as long as we have this majority, and it automatically dies if once we lose that majority, and they can't reinvoke it afterwards. That's the plan that I have. If you see a flaw in it, I appreciate your constructive criticism, and I'd love to hear it.
I'm trying to quickly skim, but I'll stop for a minute.
I don't see how that would work, because the
issue
future.
Yeah, can a present Congress bind a future Congress? And the answer to that, I think, is necessarily no, because Congress has the power granted in Article 1 to set its own rules, which means that every session of Congress, the Congress can set and change the rules that exist. So if you pass a statute, then you are attempting effectively to usurp the rulemaking power of Congress to control how each of the houses conduct their own business. And I think that's the main hiccup. I don't know if it's laid out specifically in there, or if you have to, go through the synthesis to get that argument. But I think that's it. And if we go to other documents similar to the Constitution, the governing documents of Great Britain, for example, that's one of the most important things, is that the legislative body cannot bind a future legislative body through their acts. They are all free to act in their own way. And that's the issue you run up to in spirit, is like, yeah, if you could just say, well, we're going to pass a law in all of the future congressional sessions have to be 100% Republican. Like that doesn't, that statute can't work because then it usurps the power of elections, right? And bringing people in. So in a similar way, I think that's the main argument. I don't know if it's in the document.
So that's what I'm wondering, is where the source for that would come from. The notion that you cannot bind a future of a future Senate.
Well, it's just simply that
you're saying it's a philosophical, logical deduction that you're making, not something that you've seen you can point to. This is what tells us that.
Yeah, let me find it real quick. The rulemaking power is each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3 expel a member. So once you have the rulemaking power laid out in, Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2. So
it'd say the statute is unconstitutional because it's now stripping them of their power under the Constitution.
Exactly. And that's why I think to get rid of the filibuster, ultimately it will take a constitutional amendment to do so, because you would have to lay out that their rule is that, well, you need 60 votes on these different issues to do that. I think a 51 vote majority is actually better, because that also allows, the subsequent Congress to make by 51%, they can remove the offending. Like if there's a law they don't like, they can take it off, right? Like they just undo it by the same majority that they had to do to pass it. So I like the idea of it. I just think that it implicates the rulemaking power. Now, the way around that, of course, would be for the Supreme Court to come in and say, actually, the number of votes required to pass a bill are not within the rulemaking power that was contemplated at the drafting of the Constitution, and a simple majority is the only answer. And that rules do not include how many votes are necessary to pass a law. But I think generally speaking, bodies are able to determine how they execute their authority. And in this case, the Senate has a 60 vote rule.
the claim you're making as far as Constitution saying that each house shall make their own rules. I do think that precludes the statute that I'm laying out. I think that is a fatal flaw in the plan that I laid out. I think you're making a good point.
Yeah, and I mean,
but I will say that if we abolish the filibuster and lay out the other elements that I put in there, as far as the other element that I left out is so I said basically abolish mail-in ballots, require voter ID, and also to have a valid election, you have to have a clean voter registration roll, not where they have hundreds of thousands of dead people and people who are not there. They have to be like actual, like there has to be some method, that the yardstick that they have to measure that this is considered a clean voter registration roll, because you have states which have 50% higher number of empty spots there for the number of people living in the state. And it's asinine, and it's intentional. And those excesses of dead people and people who haven't voted in 40 years that are still on the registration rolls and are now voting when they're 140 years old and always voting Democrat. The only way that happens is you need to have someone who's validly registered, and they know which ones are dead spots. So they know that they can fill it in, and they keep filling it in every election if they're so inclined. So that's why I think that has to be another element. They have to clean up your voter registration, require no mail-in ballots, and require voter ID to have a valid federal election. Now the potential constitutional issue is the rights of states to conduct their own election, which is a constitutional power. But there is some basis as far as legitimacy for something to be submitted in.
Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah, I agree that states do have the power to conduct their own elections, but I think that, if I'm not mistaken, Congress does have some power there too, though. Like, right? There's something that the federal Congress has on voting. I just don't remember exactly what it is. But I think it's critical, and I think if Republicans aren't paying attention to this and don't prioritize it, if they don't prioritize absentee ballots and really clamping down on who is allowed to utilize these absentee ballots, specifically those were created for military who were over, like outside of the country, unable to return and vote. They were able to cast these absentee ballots, which were then brought literally by like boat at the time back to the United States, so that they could, so their votes could be cast. Like I think there's certain things where practicality says this, but yeah, we need to clamp down on this, because the ability to manipulate a vote by effectively astroturfing a bunch of ballots, and we saw that happen in 2020, right? Like we saw that there was a video of the guy in Minneapolis who just went to the Somali neighborhoods, and he got paid per like 100 ballots.
Yeah,
and he's sitting there videoing it, and like his just ballots stacked up in his car, and it's like, how is this possibly legal?
Saw some very strange stuff in New Jersey and Virginia too in the election that just happened.
Yep.
I'm just gonna say strange. That's all. Just strange.
Don't worry about it. Stop. No, just watch TV. S. Nelson 134 over on Local says the weakness of the 25th Amendment is who is allowed to invoke it. The VP and the cabinet are creatures of the president, so if it's to their advantage to have President Rutabaga, they'll keep them. That's true. They could, but the idea is that if the president eventually becomes too much of a vegetable, he literally can't execute the duties of his office, and that's what the 25th is really there for. The 25th isn't there so much for any ideological purpose. It's there for the purpose of like a president goes in for a surgery and doesn't wake up, right? Gets stuck in a coma or something like that. You need to have someone with the executive power, which is vested in that guy on the table. That vesting of power has to go somewhere else. The 25th actually allows for a temporary vesting of power in someone else, which is pretty amazing. That they concocted a system by which they can practically do that on a short-term basis and then return the power to a president when he becomes fit, or if he's conscious again or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it is dependent on the VP and the cabinet. But the 25th is a really, really well constructed amendment when you look at it, because it also allows the president the ability to contest and effectively say, no, I am competent. You don't get to take the power from me. This is not where like you get to mutiny and take over. You have to prove out that I'm not competent if I challenge it, which again, you can't challenge it if he's in a coma, which is the main intent. But if they determine that a president is like going off of his rocker and he needs to be, and he's become dangerous to the country,
or continually looking for the ice cream truck in the middle of a speech.
Very important to find your ice cream. Tired of you people, you haters out there. Here, hold on one. We got a couple of these super tips.
Yeah.
Use them tariffs for my welfare and healthcare gives, and we'll vote Trump. Otherwise, we written with my comrade, Ma'am Danny Ooga Booga.
What was that?
What was that?
Yeah, where'd you get that?
A system called Super Tips.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Developed by this guy, a couple guys, but Patrick Melton and his like
Moody
sidekick Moody, and yeah, you basically can create an AI voice of pretty much anybody. This one like is Nate the lawyer, for example.
I hear you, good logic, but then why did Joe need to pardon Hunter? Why did he need to protect Hunter from his own DOJ?
Because Hunter Biden did more cocaine than me.
You have one of me?
I think so.
Really?
Let me check.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's so people can it's way better than a super chat because they only take 10% instead of 30.
And the payouts go like almost right away.
I already am paid for those super tips.
It goes right through Stripe.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, it's
you have to teach me how to do that. I don't even know what the heck.
But you got it right now. It's in the beta. You got to get permission to get into it. It hasn't gone wide yet.
I could.
You could get in there, no problem, because they would take Joe.
You know, you got people.
Well, no, he would take anyone that basically anyone who gets like over 1,000 live viewers at any time. He's going to take right away.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it's really like once you get it set up, it's really easy to use and it's cool. Oh my gosh, I don't have the Judge. I don't have. I have it, but I don't have it activated. So I'll have to do that. I also have an Ethan Ralph voice, which isn't activated.
Someone just wrote, "This is the Jewiest thing ever." He gets 90% and doesn't even have to read it. It so is.
And then Joe, there's a feature where they could pay, like you can have it turned on or off, where you're paying extra money, like $20 extra, and it reads it right away without you even knowing. It'll just read it on you. But you can set it for anything you want. You can make it $100. You can make it whatever you want.
Yeah, I haven't set it 10. If you pay an extra $10, it'll immediately read your super tip. It'll just read it while we're talking.
I don't know how you set this thing up.
You just have to you get a super tip account. We'll talk.
We'll talk. Yeah, okay.
It's really
I'm very amped about this. This seems like a lot of fun.
Oh, it's a blast. By the way, chat, I just added the Judge Borowski voice. I don't know how long it's been sitting there. I know I asked Ryan to do it a long time ago and I figured he was just lazy, but it turns out I was the lazy one and I didn't activate it. So you can mess with that on there. It turns out I don't think I do have a Joe voice, but
oh man,
I'm gonna rectify that.
You done me dirty.
All you need is 10 minutes of someone talking alone. And the AI then grabs it and makes the model based off of that.
Sweet. That's cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Cool. It's a lot of fun.
All right. I got to bust on out of here because I got up and I have some meeting at 11 o'clock in the morning where I'm supposed to be like StreamYard is supposed to be teaching me how to use StreamYard. There's some sort of, I don't know.
Oh, they're doing that thing. I think I got an email about it, but I wasn't going to go.
Yeah. So I figured...
The problem with StreamYard is just their fucking audio mixing. That's it. That's the only problem is that if you have a video playing and you talk, the thing's like, no, I want to prioritize the video. It's like, I want one option that just says, do not try and change how the audio works on the back end. Like just let all the audio exist in one spot and be equal. Don't try to, balance things out and bring one thing up and bring one thing down. Because I hate that when when a video is going, or something I'm sharing is playing, it brings me down. I have to like scream to get over it, and it's a mess. Because then people are like, we can't hear you, we can't hear you, we can't hear you. It's like, but just let everything exist in one channel, or have that option for me, so I can control that.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's good to have you back. Now I gotta start redirecting people back to you again. It's I gotta get. That's a good habit.
Oh, not if I'm streaming.
Yes.
If I'm streaming, you got to redirect them to me. No. I'll redirect to Nick when I'm done.
When I actually, I don't know if I told you, I managed to get on Tim Pool for a culture war thing, and we hit it off. And like at one point, I think near the end of the thing, I was like, "What do I need to do to get you to redirect to me?" Because can you imagine if Tim Pool started redirecting? He's like, "You can't pay me." He's like, "You can't afford it."
Aw, silly Tim.
Anyway.
Here we go. Before you go, what do we got? The first Borowski super tip. Here we are.
Nick will have his juice call yourself juice and get it set up. Don't worry. Still mad we can't put the 3-letter word for a banker. Thanks, Shapiro.
They write that?
So like when you do your super chat, effectively, like you write the message and then
it gets read in that voice.
Yeah, you pick the voice. Like I have like,
oh my God, that is so awesome.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
That is genius. I'm gonna start doing it myself. I'll be sending myself super chats.
Yeah, I can do that. Like you can, once you're you do it for free for your own show. Like you can just set them up and it'll do them.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. It was great. It was great seeing you, and we'll chat next week. All right.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
All right. Take care. Have a good night. Thanks for having me. Good seeing you. Go take care of Jim. He's good people.
Yeah, I know. He's awesome. Well, he leaves in the middle of a sentence. What? Like you can just walk out of here?
That's what he does.
He would. What's up?
I was thinking, I don't know, like, I guess you can't do a statute because of the whole rule thing, that they can't get him with a rule. And
no, and there's like, if you think about it, there's no way you could let a Congress bind future Congresses like that. Like that'd be kind of crazy, right? Like,
yeah, it would be, unless you do a constitutional amendment,
right? Which
I mean, that's
not Congress binding future Congresses. That's Congress, and then the three, how is it? 60% of the states also.
Is it 2/3 or 3/4?
2/3. 2/3 of the states, so 66% of them. 38 states, I think it is. So it's like, that's the manifest will of both the federal government and the state governments to modify the Constitution that everybody's under. So it's not just a legislature and a president in one point in time, because the president would have to approve the bill, right, to make it law. So, but you don't have these two entities now controlling future Congresses. But then in theory, that Congress could come in and by a 51% vote, repeal that law right away. Like they could just say, no, this law is dumb, kick it out. So I don't know. I think even if you could pass the statute, it's ineffective because you can't, unless you put in the statute that the next Congress can't repeal it, which would be, I don't think you can do that. Like I don't think you can actually do that by law. We have done things where it's like, this is how it's going to be and no one can change it. For example, in the Constitution, the initial, what was it? It was like the initial amount of people, or the initial amount of representatives determination based on population at a specific date. And like it was like, you can't bring in people unless you pay, like the state pays this amount of per person type thing. So we have done things where like the future is set down, but it's done through the Constitution, not through a statute. I think a statute just isn't sufficient to bind a future Congress like that.
I think a lot of our problems would actually be solved if they set the House of Representatives up to actually run the way it was supposed to, with the number of representatives that was designated. If we had, say, 4,000 members of Congress,
Yeah, and I think
there would be no gerrymandering. There would be no need to pump. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be, all this stuff would not be happening.
yeah, and every congressman represents 30,000 people,
Yeah.
as was originally laid out. I think like that is, I don't know why we don't do that. And people, some people have said like, oh, it wouldn't work or whatever. It's too many people. It's like, but China does that. Like China actually does that. They have like fucking 10,000 people in their legislative body or something. It's insane. But we also wouldn't have to pay them as much, right? Like
They would be part-time again, like they were supposed to be. They wouldn't be full-time.
I think you paid way less. AOC should not be a congressperson because AOC didn't have enough money to sustain herself as a congressperson.
And you wouldn't need all the staff members you wouldn't need all these staff members, all this stuff. You wouldn't need it, and then the states could, then we could get rid of the 17th Amendment and get the, have the Senate be picked by the states again.
Right. And I think that actually popular election of senators is one of the tragedies of the United States' evolution. Max Lang says that audio issue is either called channel padding or channel damping. That I hear you, man. The problem, I don't need to know what it's called. I just know that StreamYard has it and there's nothing I can do about it. And they need to give that audio control to the creators. Like it's crazy that exists. You don't have to do that. And I think it's because they use Zoom's base code for the connection, because it's on like every platform is like this. It's not just a StreamYard problem. Like if you go to Restream, if you go to I think that EVMux or whatever, I think they're all the same. They all have that same audio issue, that it has an AI in the background that tries to prioritize which audio should be louder than the others. It's like, I don't need your help with this, brother. I need you to just play the volume of whatever's there when I want it to do that. Because when I'm watching trials, like I don't want it to choose. If two lawyers are talking at the same time, I don't want one of them to be drowned out. I want all of it. Here we go.
So easy, even a rabbit could do it.
Also, Kurt has a micropene.
Oh no.
Well, at least now I can tell the truth. Besides me, Rakita is the best damn lawyer this side of the Mississippi. Good logic, take notes. Unlike lesser lawyers, Rakita doesn't leave mid-sentence.
How aware are boomers that the anti-Israel Nazi stuff is largely just joking around and memeing? Not many are genuinely Nazi anti-Semitic.
I don't think they're aware. Boomers, I don't think are aware as like a cast of people. You have to be ingrained somewhat in meme community. What is interesting is as I watch my kids and their friend groups and hear about like the jokes and stuff that are being said in school, like identity issues are like they're not important to the next generation. Like they don't give a shit. They will tell racist jokes. They will use like racial slurs or not like full on slurs, but uncomfortable things like, and they'll do it with mirth and like a smile. It's not, you could tell it's not malicious. But they do it. The blade is dulled so much by its overuse. And the upcoming generation doesn't give a shit at all. They really don't care.
That's a good thing, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we'll see if we're wrong. The good part is we'll always get to tell if we're wrong in that. It's like, whoa, no, that was actually really bad. That was bad. When there's like a giant race war and all the buildings are on fire again. Oh, wait, we already had that in 2020 just because. So it can't really get much worse.
I think a lot of the stuff we're seeing now, especially with like the whole the Fuentes, that stuff, I think it's purposeful to try and divide the right, whatever you want to call it, or the MAGA movement, whatever, to try to, it's the neocons trying to regain power, and these specific same people. None of these people who ever they didn't support Trump. They didn't like Trump. They weren't part of the MAGA movement. You know, Shapiro, Mark Levin, you know, they were not. You know,
Yeah.
Rubin.
No, they were adamantly opposed to him. And in fairness, I was opposed to Trump in 2016. And the reason I was opposed to Trump in 2016 is simple. The things he said he would do worried me because some of the things he said violated like the First Amendment pretty openly. And I was like, well, I don't want that. And as funny as it was when he said, yeah, you'd be in jail, like to Hillary Clinton, I was really concerned that Trump was going to spend a bunch of time with this sort of blood feud with the Democrats going after them, criminally, going after the Clintons and going after the Obamas and shit like that criminally. And maybe there's some stuff that they could go after, but I think we typically have given deference to presidents. And of course, we all saw like how irritated we were when they went after Trump for criminal actions, because like we know that the reason you're doing it is because of the politics and not the crime or anything like that. That's why you're doing it. Even though, you know, some of the stuff Trump definitely seems to have done. He seems to have done these things and may have broken a law or two here or there. The Obamas have broken laws. The Clintons have broken laws. But spending all of your time in political office going after these people means you're not doing other things. And it starts to create this environment where it's going to be back and forth. And so I didn't want those things. But then this amazing thing happened. Trump didn't do any of that. He just didn't do it. He like talked like he was going to. He got in office, didn't do it. And I was like, you're not arresting journalists. You're not going, like, you're not improperly using the justice system against your political enemies. Okay, I'm with it now. And you're not getting us into war. So like, thanks for not getting us into war, because my kids are about to be of age where they would have to go. I don't want that to happen.
I don't mean to derail your show either. I know you were talking about other stuff, but where do you stand on what's going on with the blowing up the boats and possibly attack in Venezuela? And do you think that's legitimate? Like,
I'm going to tell you right now that I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know that they've been blowing up boats in the Caribbean like crazy?
No, like who's they?
The U.S. military. Like 14 ships. They've been just schwacking ships. We've got aircraft carriers and the whole stuff in the
ships are our ships.
No, we've been blowing up like Tren de Aragua boats and boats from Venezuela and drug trafficker boats.
Oh, I am firmly opposed to that.
Okay.
Let the drugs through. Come on. Don't mess with our parties. No, I mean, I don't care about that. If they're, I think at some point the cartels have to be fought with violence, because they operate in a world of violence, death, and horror. That if we're not willing to blow up a fucking boat of people who skin people alive and leave their skin suits in the streets, like as a warning for other people, like if we're not willing to shoot those people, what are we doing here? I don't want those people coming into my country. I don't, like, jokes aside about me not caring about drugs or whatever, but the idea of what cartels do and how dangerous and disgusting they are to basic humanity. Yeah, blow them up, shoot them, kill them, whatever. I think we should treat them as a military enemy, frankly.
That's right. That was my understanding, is that as long as it's happening in international waters and you have you're not violating their rights. They don't have any rights. They're not on U.S. soil. They're not citizens.
Right.
They're like enemy combatants, whatever you want to call them, or terrorists. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, and there's talk of I had seen a headline that there's talk of actually using military force against the cartels, like in a more concentrated way even than that. And I support it. Like I think that the cartel violence is something, it compromises the politicians of the foreign countries, and it cartels are able to bring all sorts of horror into our country and affect our citizens. And if could you imagine if those like when they like skin someone's face off or whatever, and like
if we start seeing bodies dangling from overpasses and stuff,
right,
and
let's say it's in El Paso, right, or something like that, San Diego and shit. Like, no, thank you. We start having that, we've got a real problem, and that problem is too deeply ingrained. I mean, there are cartel people in the town where I live, like up here in Minnesota.
I know Chicago is pretty much run by cartels now. All the drugs and gun, like gangs. Basically, the gangs are all subservient to the cartels now. They basically moved in and moved out most of the black gangs.
Yeah, that's crazy, and it's because
of money. They got money and they got power. They got guns, drugs,
and a willingness to commit atrocity. Like, Central and South America have always been these sort of bastions of human horror.
Yeah, I just see it getting bad though with basically you got the Mexican government who's in the pocket of the cartels. You got the Scheinbaum who's like lots of stuff, and they just whack some dude on Halloween.
Yeah, mayor,
and then you got the governor or the president of Colombia that threatened to kill Trump. That will get rid of him just like that. Like, dude, you might not want to say that about. Last guy down in your neck of the woods that made comments like that was a guy by the name of Noriega, and it didn't work out too well for him. You might be sharing a cell with him soon.
This guy says Nick knows all the cartel members there. He used to party with them all the time. No, I actually didn't. I didn't. I know. I had a friend who was not in the cartel, but clearly was when I was practicing. He was like, "Hey, do you want referrals of these guys?" And they were young kids who were associated with the hotel or with the cartel, not with the hotel. It's not the staff of the hotel, but like, so it was, it was a lot of juvenile defense and stuff like that. He's like, "Do you want these cases?" And I was like, "You know what? No, like, I just don't want any involvement in it. I got my own kids. I got my own family. And I don't want them to be.
You don't want to end up like Murdoch.
Yeah, you don't want that shit. And I think that was a hit straight out. Like,
I don't think there's no way, shape, or there's no way he did that. I don't. My opinion.
No, I 100% agree. Let me hit some of these super chats. The Iceman says, one of the things I miss from your old streams is how anyone could pop in at any time. The stream could really change or go very different with guests. Yeah, and hopefully we'll get back to more stuff like that and, get people popping in. I haven't been inviting a lot of guests because I want to make sure people know that, like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm going to be consistent on this, and I'm showing that and doing it. So once that kind of has gotten established, a couple weeks maybe, then we'll start focusing on getting more guests on. I am talking with the Glarer about doing a show. He said he had a good time last time, so we're going to figure out when to do it. I got to get Auntie Deb on.
He's the guy that was tight with Turtle Boy, right?
Yes. Yep. So that Karen Reed shit is still going. Like, what is happening? I think he's initiated civil suits and stuff, so who knows? Grifty says, my oldest just turned 18. He was struggling in pre-calc senior year, and the wife and I were talking to him about making sure he'd graduate. He basically told us to F off. I got this. And then he just scored a 98. Oh, damn it. What the hell? Just scored a 98 on his big exam and pulled his grade out of the gutter. First time I viewed him as a man. So proud. Said he had it and handled it. Well, that's awesome, man. That's really good. Tracy Collins says, ELI 5 eliminating the filibuster. Wouldn't Democrats then reverse every Republican win? You and Joe pick sides and steel man the debate. Oh, sorry, Tracy. I didn't see that while Joe was still here.
Yeah. My whole thing with the filibuster is that the Democrats tried to do it just when Biden was president, and it was just Manchin and Sinema that stopped it, and they're gone. So you're going to have, someone's going to have to try to get it. It's either make a deal with the Democrats, like say, let's vote, let's do something, like let's get a constitutional amendment, let's do something to somehow codify the filibuster. And if they refuse to do it, then just blow it up, and because they're gonna do it as soon as they get the chance. They're gonna do it.
Yeah, I agree. So do it now and get your stuff done. I I don't,
because if they could do all the stuff and get national voter ID, get rid of the get the census on only citizens or whatever lawful permanent residents, something, fix the vote, do these things. It's quite possible the Democrats won't win. You're not going to win if you don't do things that actually show people, what the fuck have they done in 10 months, really? Trump's done a bunch of stuff and ordered a bunch of things, but what has Congress passed? Nothing.
Now, and typically, again, I want that. I want Congress to not do anything. I do think we could use like some time of stabilizing the law rather than adding a bunch of stuff.
Well, they could repeal a bunch of stuff if they got rid of filibuster, like the NFA, the GCA, the Hughes Amendment, the Patriot Act. I don't know. Let's keep going. FISA. I mean, let's keep going. Boom, 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 boom. Get rid of it.
That's what my next thing was. And it's like, I want them to stabilize, and then I want them to start rolling things back. Right? Like we need one of those policies like you have when you're, at least in our family, when your kids like have too much crap. It's like, okay, for every present you get, you have to get rid of 2 old things. Like, let's do that. For every law you want to pass in the positive, you got to repeal 2 things. Get them off the books. Let's see. Chris V. Clements, $5 for my favorite 2 Jews. Brian Ogden, 9076 says, because I still believe in you. Oh, hey, thanks, Brian. I believe in me too. And I believe in you. Tiffany Zabranik says, auto pin relevant, filibuster, time pressing. And then also says, yes, which I think was her response to Joe, maybe when he addressed the auto pin filibuster stuff. Or maybe it was response to me. Who knows? Thank you, Tiffany. Wrestler Town says, past Congresses cannot enforce rules on future Congresses. The ability for a Congress to make its own rules is constitutional, would override any law. And that's effectively where we got with Joe. Tactico says, 1, repeal Citizens United. 2, no, don't repeal Citizens United. Repeal the McCain-Feingold campaign finance restrictions. More money in politics. More. I like what they should do is it should be open money in politics, because that's the only reasonable First Amendment approach. I can't believe like the First Amendment being curtailed so heavily by your inability to donate more than X dollars to a congressperson or, a candidate is insane. Like, how crazy is that? Well, you can only donate $2,400 to this person. Why? Why is it that you can only do that? Citizens United is the only thing, in my opinion, that has brought us closer to having First Amendment rights, because while you cannot work with the campaign and exceed campaign contribution limits, you can say whatever you want on your own about stuff with your own money and not be hampered as some sort of campaign contribution. That is pure.
For Citizen United, the unions and all these other police were all doing that already, with other things that they were able to back things. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, they've created, and the Republican Party and the Democrat Party are actually the only 2 entities that are completely immune from campaign contribution limits. They can contribute any amount to the candidates that they want. Like, and that's crazy that they have exempted themselves from the rules as these parties. And, but yeah, I like Citizens United. I would only accept the repeal of Citizens United if we actually opened up campaign contributions. Abraham Lincoln was elected almost entirely based on donations from one newspaper that his family owned. Like his campaign was financed almost entirely by that. And there was no concept that money shouldn't be in politics. That's new. And remember this, if someone in Congress has proposed a scheme by which it limits the ability to fund an election, that favors the incumbent every single time. It is so much harder to outvoice an incumbent, especially when they artificially level the playing field, because they're not level, right? Like the incumbent can go on C-SPAN for free and get all sorts of talk, and we'll get moments on C-SPAN, NBC, MSNBC, ABC. All of these channels will put an incumbent politician on the air immediately. If you are a challenging politician trying to get on the air. You have to build up the notoriety to get onto these shows yourself. That like you have to have a Q score that makes you relevant enough for them to bring you on. And that's typically involves the expenditure of large amounts of cash. It costs a lot to attack an incumbent seat, especially one that's firmly rooted and has spent several elections building up a war chest that is millions and millions of dollars. You just can't compete with it because they've limited your ability to compete with it artificially. And like this is one of the most propagandized things that I hate. Money in politics was always the intent. 2, remove any politician that takes money from any foreign entity. I see that one, but I'm not 100%.
I didn't think they were supposed to take money from foreign entities. I thought that was against the law to take money from.
Correct. They can't directly take money from foreign entities, but foreign entities can, under Citizens United, they can make their own statements, right? Like,
well, they can have their own PAC and they can run ads. They can do things. They just have to, if it's paid for by a foreign government, it has to be declared for FARA, right? FARA. Maybe.
I don't know. I'll take your word for it. And then 3, Congress cannot be reelected if they push omnibus bills. I'm torn on the omnibus thing because I really hate omnibus bills, but at the same time, like they can't pass one bill. Like they're not going to pass 1,000.
I still think the best thing to do is get the Congress back to like 35,000 or 40,000 people per district. That way you could actually get a hold of your congressman. You could talk to them and tell them about your problems. You would actually have representation, not what we have now. Some districts are 1 million people in the district.
Right.
How are you going to get that congressman on the phone unless you got enough? You got to have tens of thousands of dollars to give him a donation or
Yeah, you got to go to one of those swanky dinners.
Yeah, swanky dinner. Buy a $10,000 plate to go sit down and actually have a word with them.
Mm-hmm. Wrestler Town says the way to fix this is to stop being cowards. No tricks, no laws, no loopholes. Power must meet power. Ooh. Tiffany Zabranik says WWDD. What would Democrats do? And BobTube TV says, Nick, I respect you for ditching the coke and maintaining a sober lifestyle of only Adderall, legal methamphetamine, and modafinil, legal coke. Yeah, it's very strange that's how it goes, but yeah, that's it. I also have legal ketamine. I don't have any. I have the ability to get it. It's just really, really expensive when you buy it from not a drug dealer. This is annoying because it's like, God, can I get dealer prices on this? It's
you can always just take a walk behind, go to your veterinary office and walk behind the counter.
So if you do ketamine therapy, right? The place that I did it last time, it's $75 to $100 per 500 milligrams, which is considered one dose for someone my size. That's the high end dose that they'll do without to go above that, they have to get some further approval. But 500 milligrams is plenty, by the way. I can enter the state that I need to at about 300 to 350. Typically, it's nice to have the 500 because it guarantees you'll make it there. But anyway,
that state called the K-hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is part of
I know. I've done ketamine. I know.
Yeah, but so for ketamine therapy, you enter a K-hole and then you use mindfulness and meditation to then use the neuroplasticity that follows to get around stuff or whatever. But you get that cool K-hole thing first. But anyway, it's so frustrating though because it's so 500 milligrams is $75 to $100, or for $150 to $200 from my dealer, I could have gotten 3,500 milligrams, right? You get an 8-ball, and it's 7 times as much for twice as much money. Jesus Christ. This is so fucking expensive from a pharmacy. Good Lord.
Why is water wet?
Why must I struggle with these weights to find my microphone?
Did someone say micropene, Kurt? We all know you have to move that fupa to find your micropene.
What's wrong with you people? Hold on.
That was supposed to say rabbi, not rabbit. Damn you, autocorrect. Either that or Big Juice got me.
Now, I'm confused. The man can make his H's sound like he's gonna spit on you, but then engages in an Irish exit before my tip gets there. The hell kind of Curticus micropenicus energy ass shit is this?
Curticus micropenicus.
Gen X grew up in an era where Chinese ran over their own citizens with tanks. The U.S. blowing up drug boats makes sense. We got to use these bombs. Fuck, let's nuke a hurricane and really fuck them up.
It actually would work. Scientifically, it would actually work.
I see some things in the chat. I would love to be on. I haven't done ketamine I did ketamine therapy a year ago. I haven't done any ketamine since. I would, like I said, I'm probably going to do a round of it soon, but I just find it interesting that you can get all these, like you can get anything prescribed. And that's fine. But I have, like, in theory, I guess, like, yeah, I could get prescriptions, but like have like the purpose be recreational. But a year ago, I thought about doing that. I was like, well, fuck you. I'll just get a prescription, just do ketamine whenever I want. But then I did the therapy and I was like, no, actually, like the kind of the regimented nature of the therapy was much more helpful. In the long run, it was really helpful. So I don't want to do the recreational side of it. I actually want to use it for its intended purpose. Ocean Redux says, Snickers, 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 don't go yet. Snickers, 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 Snickers. Nice seeing you. Okay. All right. There we go. So anyway, I think we've caught up on all the chats and shit that have come in. Oh my goodness. So what's on the horizon, man? What news is coming?
What news is coming? Well,
you send me the brief.
Don't tell people.
He sends me a brief every day, and I'm like, God, how does he like follow all this stuff? I've been I killed my algorithms that I used to use to like gather up data, like information, and prepare shows. I'm trying to get them back, but it's like
sometimes it's hard. It's hard to get the stuff. You're looking and you don't see anything. It's just nothing looks good, and that'll happen. And then I'm like, oh shit, I guess there's nothing really happening. And then all of a sudden at like 7:30, it just all appears. It's like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh shit, another one. It's usually what happens. Like right when I'm getting ready to send it, there's like 5. I'm like, oh wait, I gotta put this. Now I gotta put this. Now I gotta put this. But yeah, I mean, it's usually, I don't know, 20, 30 good stories, but yeah, you get a couple. Talk about 5 or 6. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about it. It's like I'll grab a couple stories and stuff and be like, I don't know if this is gonna make it to 3 hours, and then it always does. But then it's like there are those times though where you get a story and you're like, boom, and you just go through it and it's like 5 minutes and you're just done and there isn't anything to say. It's well, that is kind of like anticlimactic or whatever.
I mean, you could make shows every night just talking about the same, basically the riots at the ICE facilities and the illegal aliens crime stuff. There's always that to talk about. It's like nonstop. I'm shocked at the number of times you look at these people getting arrested and you look at the booking sheet and it says white male and you're like, wait, that guy's not white.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, what's going on here?
Hold on, I'm assuming that. Yeah, Max, you can just email it to me, ricadalaw@ricada.org. I'm kind of tempted to to shift some gears here.
Go ahead, do what you want to do. You want me to leave? I'll leave.
Well, I don't know. I've got this video of Kurt.
Kurt came on my show one night.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Not well.
Really? Why not?
I don't know. He was just very weird to deal with. And I was like, oh, I want to talk to him about stuff and get his opinion. And he just kind of was like, had his glasses on, his sunglasses on and everything, sat there and was like, and then I went to go talk in his chat and I was blocked in his chat. So I was like, wait a minute, did I really make that bad of an impression?
That's wild. Why were you blocked? I mean, I'm blocked over there.
I was like, oh, I don't know.
I don't know why I'm blocked. That's the thing is like, why did I get blocked? I don't think I was in his chat, like actually chatting, but I think he blocked me on principle.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just doing a show talking about news and stuff, and he was in the chat. Like, I was like, oh, Kurt's in the chat. Well, you want to come on?
And then so he just like wasn't participating?
No, he like not really. Just kind of sit there, like, and then I'd ask him like legal questions. He'd go, I don't know. I'd have to read the briefs. I'm like, all right.
Isn't it amazing? Like, you can't just like, you're not in front of a judge right now. Like, so just like, let's throw out some basics here and let's give your opinion. No one's going to hold you to it. Like if you got it, some little detail wrong or whatever, like it's going to be okay. But no, that's one of my things with him is he gets so hung up on stuff and he's so hung up on the idea that there are these rigid rules. It's like, man, nothing is actually set in law. Like there's always a lawyer who's like, no, we're going to fix that. We're going to change that shit. And they do. Here we go. One of these.
Who the fuck started Teens Against Micropeens? Now Kurt has to work twice as soft. Jim, you stay. You're a part of this now. Big Peen Energy.
Big Peen Energy right there.
I think maybe what it did it was I started to ask him about his cooking streams when he was on. I'm like, explain to me why are you, like, do people watch these? Why do you do these? And I don't know. Maybe that's what upset him.
Don't upset the meta. I want more cooking streams. I need more things. I need more of them. They're unironically my favorite thing. I don't know what to do. I never thought I would say that about like something Kurt did, but whoa. Here we go. This is Melanie Little. And someone sent this to me. Kurt is going to join in just a second, right after I hit play. And I heard this interview is something that we're going to do. Oh, Miss PG Keen, he's definitely sensitive about the cooking videos. 100%. The tiny spoon crew thing, like that's gotten to him. He started using a bigger spoon and he calls it his big spoon, which is funny. But yeah, it bothers him and it shouldn't. I think they're great. Like the videos are awesome.
Did he ever make a video that showed that chicken enchilada soup that wasn't soup, what it looked like when it was cooked?
I don't think he did.
I was very interested to see what it looked like because it never looked like it was going to be soup to me.
He's done that a couple times where he like gets everything prepped in the pot and then he's just like, all right, guys, 7 hours on the thing. And then he leaves and you're like, well, but what happens? Like, I want to know the ending. I know what he's going to do. Like, he's just going to slurp it into his mouth and like make disgusting sounds and be like, it's so good. It's like, I know it's not good though. Like I'm looking at it. It can't be good. It might be edible sometimes. When he cooked that steak in the toaster oven and it's like all gray and then like pink in the middle and he's like, it's perfect. And I'm like, that's the worst looking steak I've ever seen. Like there's no browning on it. Like he didn't sear it properly. And it's, the gray ring of overcooking around the edge was like pretty thick and substantial. So, like there's a texture issue there. And he's like, this is so good. This is the best. But I can go make a better steak right now. And I know it would be better. So that this can't be right. And it really messed with me for a while. I had to talk to a therapist about it. But here, so let's see. I don't know how this video is going to go. Something happens about 10 minutes in that might be magical.
Let's see if Kurt comes in. If he's going to sing to us.
He's going to sing?
Okay. It can't be bad. It can't be bad. I've never watched Melanie's content at all. So I know nothing about her. She's an attorney. Let's see where this goes.
And this will be epic. We've never met.
Oh, wow. This is a year ago. She's never met him, never had him on or anything. And he's going to sing, which of course is the logical thing you do on the first appearance on any show.
He's lurked in my chat. I've lurked in his chat. He said something the other day that I thought was so funny. I gave him an idea for a t-shirt that said something like, something about you doing something since 4th grade.
Riveting.
Stalking like Supreme Court cases since the
Stalking like children. Since 4th grade. I don't this shirt isn't funny to me, but I'm glad that she found it comical.
Stalking's not
4th grade.
No. Neither are women. It's just they're just
I don't remember what it was now. I hope you wrote it down so that you could use it in. Oh, here he is.
Oh,
all right. You promise you're going to be nice to me? Give me a thumbs up if you're going to be nice to me. Okay. Oh my God. We meet in person.
Hello.
Oh, now I got to put this stupid thing in because I wasn't listening to any. I didn't have my headpiece in. Hold on. Because I had nobody else on but me.
We're all good.
This is already fascinating to me. Like her elation at what's going on. Like, even if it's like, I don't know if it's faked or real. I can't tell. I don't understand it at all. Like she's lurked in his chat and stuff like, but she's super excited to have him on. Was her channel tiny at this point? What's going on here? Does any of the chat know the lore on this? Because like I can't imagine the way.
I mean, Kurt's been on YouTube for quite a long time.
Yeah, I know, but I just don't understand her reaction here. Is like it's like a lot.
He used to collab with that Leonard French guy.
Right, I know, but collaborating with Leonard French is like collaborating with a fucking coffin.
She might have found some of the stuff interesting or something.
Maybe. I don't know. That guy. Oh, Leonard French is. I can't stand. I tried to watch his stuff. I'm like, how did anybody get through this without euthanasia? Like, I don't understand how they're.
I think at the time he started, he was the only lawyer talking about legal stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, he really was, and like he got kind of like inflated because he helped out some Gamergate person, even though he's like Leonard French is like I think he's gay, unironically, and like he's fairly liberal. So it was interesting that he was in the Gamergate side, but you know, attorneys are kind of like that. Like you can have a really gay liberal attorney and they'll be like, but I don't give a shit what people say and do, like, because you know, you're attorneys, you're a mercenary anyway. So you kind of have to, you can't really hang on to a lot of that stuff. So, I mean, maybe he's like that. I don't know. I can't stand watching Leonard French. I got nothing against him. I just can't stand watching his content. So I don't know. Like, I never got a feel for
I don't
him.
think he's been on YouTube. I don't think he's made any content in years.
Yeah, he shouldn't. He should never have. Like, he is so boring. He's so boring. He'd like wear a stupid hat and he'd read through a document, which is fine, but he just had no personality to it. It drove me crazy. Oh, here we go.
He's dancing.
I'm technologically not very savvy, as people will tell you.
You're all good, man.
Oh wow, man.
That's a woman. God, he's so bad at this.
Man, dude. Cool. All right. So
his face looks extremely red right now. Like really red.
Think about this.
Oh, he's got to be like he is faced with a relatively attractive woman. Like, she's pretty enough. There's no way that Kurt is ready for this conversation. Like, this is going to be I can tell this is going to be a disaster.
We try and keep it classy on the show. I don't like the cursey words. So I know you're going to have to try and, maybe just a little filter. But if I ever want to,
she said cursey words. So she's an Emily D. Baker acolyte. I I love Emily D. Baker, but like the cursey words thing, like it just goes straight into like the demographic that's watching this thing. It's like you just imagine it's a bunch of moms sitting there and like they don't get to swear all day because the kids are around. Like now they get their little guilty pleasure, like they've got their espresso and they're like, all right. Oh, she said bitch. Oh my God. And they get like excited about it. That dynamic is weird to me.
It's a curse. This would have been the time.
Yeah, Johns Hopkins conduct, particularly with respect to their slanted S's motion, is I've run out of adjectives to describe how much I detest it and how, in my view, it is deplorable, sanctionable, disciplinary worthy. I pray if the Florida bar has any integrity, they'll at least consider a private reprimand. I know I'm asking for not.
I have no idea what he's talking about here or what case this is in reference to, but I'm guessing that no disciplinary action happened. And there was no sanction, is my guess, but I might be wrong. What is this slanted S's? What is this shit? Ocean Redux, you are not forbidden from super chatting, but like to verify that, just if you want to try with like $500 just to, give it an option, like just see, maybe that's the case. Like maybe you have to just push past the seal. Oh yeah, this is the Take Care of Maya case. Oh, they might have gotten sanctioned then, but we know now that the Maya, this decision was undone completely.
Yeah, they were just overruled. Yeah.
So yeah, the family just got completely fucked, which is crazy. These cases where like a children's hospital or whatever takes a kid from a family, like that, everyone involved in them should be executed. On the spot.
Little do y'all know, my micropeen had already made a mess in my pants by this point in the interview.
Was that Beth?
Not much, but yeah. I'm hoping Judge Carroll might actually send it along. That would be really nice. That tends to get a little bit more attention. But
that he'll refer to their grievance committee or whatever. Yeah.
It is so. It puts a very unhappy feeling in my stomach that I can literally feel. It's like this very visceral action, like my stomach literally turns sour. It is so disgusting, especially based on these facts.
Yeah,
the slanted S's.
Yeah, I heard you saying the other night when I was watching your stream that it made you feel dirty, and I was like, "Yeah." I said the same thing. Like the night that I first read this, this makes me embarrassed to be a lawyer, and this is why people hate.
Well, why? You didn't write it. This makes me embarrassed to be a lawyer, but no, like I don't know. Should make the person who wrote it embarrassed.
Lawyers, and it's just gross. It does. It makes you feel dirty. It's just gross. Like, would you ever, in your wildest imagination, file something like this?
No, because I don't do things that are.
Because I don't do things is where you should have stopped. Remember, at this point in time, Kurt has never filed a single document into any case, which is perfectly fine. But she's asking, could you ever imagine filing this document? Kurt's like, no. Well, I can't. Well, of course you can't. Can't imagine filing any document. Never thought he would be hired by anybody. It took until very recently for him to file his first document.
They're frivolous and injurious to the practice of law and to the courts, and also injurious to future jurors who might take note of this and be like, well, I don't want to be a juror because I might be juror one. It's the new Me Too, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're causing literal injury to the entire corpus of the legal establishment in Florida. Just great.
Mm-hmm.
Nakadashi Tomodachi says, crazy Kurt got Melanie and you had to settle for Jim. Damn, that's brutal. Why would you say that? Also, this was a year ago. It would take a year for me to get Jim on the show. I've been trying this whole time. Ocean Redux says, why is her hair better than mine? Should I just jump? Ocean Redux, I'm not allowed to encourage suicide, but in this case, I think you have to.
She got something weird going on with her face.
And what is the name of their lawyer?
Like if you back up for a second, it almost looked like the Joker. Like look at it, like the lines on her face.
No, I know what you're saying, and that's why I said she was relatively pretty. Like, she's relatively pretty, but
Not there. That looks like something she's like Jared Leto's Joker.
That's the one. It's the Jared Leto one.
That's the Jared Leto one. Yeah, that's the Jared Leto one.
I think I see it.
In Florida, just great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what is the name of their law firm? I think I said the wrong word. Is Hill, whatever their law firm is, may have single-handedly like brought down the jury system. Like, everyone's going to use this as an excuse now when they go in for jury duty, right? It's not like, oh, I can't take off of work, I can't, whatever. It's going to be like, oh, I watched that Maya Kowalski trial, I saw what happened to that juror number 1, and there's no way in hell I want to be on a jury.
That's exactly why.
Yeah.
The lawyers need to be disciplined by the bar. I know it's asking for a lot, but I would love a public reprimand. I love them to be brought before the Florida Supreme Court and admonished in open court about how very, very bad they are. Because that's the only thing that's going to restore any confidence to this.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that all confidence in the legal system of Florida and the lawyers was not destroyed by the bad motion written by, these couple lawyers or whatever. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. It's because lawyers write bad motions all the time. Like they do. And the idea that some really bad motion is going to actually destroy the public's confidence in something is crazy. Like, lawyers are scum by and large, and the public still has confidence in them to help navigate the system in overwhelming majority. So I think we're going to be okay.
asking the judge to demand that juror number 1 and his wife turn their cell phones over. Like, are you kidding me? Like, who even can? What, did that come from Reddit too? Because that the whole Nazi symbolism thing came directly from a Reddit page. I pulled it up the other day. I was like, what?
It certainly appears that way. Yes.
Mhm.
They're getting their legal tips from Reddit. That's just fantastic.
Yeah, their theories. All their theories are coming straight out of the conspirators. You're a cupcake now. So Chantal, thank you for the super chat.
But I thought you're not a cupcake.
I'm not a cupcake because I can't make everyone happy. I'll switch you so you don't have the cupcake on your head. But I make my members happy. They make me happy. So therefore, to each other, we are cupcakes because cupcakes make everybody happy.
Fair enough.
But, I have opinions and I'm not afraid to share them just like you do.
Absolutely. You just need to give it an intellectually honest assessment of what you think and try to remain open-minded.
Yeah.
And Chad and I had like a 20-minute conversation at one point, for example, on the medical negligence claim. Because it's like, I just don't really see it. And they kept offering ideas, and for a while,
the chemistry between them is just really sparking, and I don't know what to do with it. It's so great.
None of them were working. And then, somewhere in the exchange, they presented an idea. I'm like, oh, that works. And we talked about it a little bit more. And as I thought about more, I'm like, okay, you've actually switched me on my thought process because you've made.
Nick, it wasn't the writing of a bad motion. The defense filed one post verdict calling the jurors bus stop people and degrading them. Yeah, that's awesome.
What argument I understand. And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
When you're trying to, actually reason this out.
Yeah. I mean, I said from the beginning of this case that I thought it was going to be very, very difficult to connect her independent act of unaliving herself, to the hospital, to a duty, to a breach that was owed to her. And I thought that was going to be a tenuous claim and that it would be it's not a claim that could fly in New York, right? It's a case of first impression in Florida. And
it's a case of first impression anywhere, as far as I know.
Real tough. So,
yeah, so
wait, so is someone off themselves and they're suing the hospital for like wrongful suicide or something? I don't even know this case. Or with the Maya thing. Megan Fox told me about it a long time ago. I just don't.
There was a girl, they took her into the hospital, and she had some kind of strange, weird, like odd disease, let's say, something that wasn't common. And the hospital accused the family of like what is it, the Munchausen by proxy or something like that. And basically that there was nothing wrong with her when there was. Basically tortured this kid from what I gathered from it for like months on end. And
the mom killed herself. Okay.
Yeah, something like when the mom or someone killed. Yeah, the mom killed herself because of what the hospital said and what the hospital did and took it away and all this stuff. So.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, now I'm starting to remember little bits of this. So they said it's a case of first impression, but it's not really though, is it? Like, well, in Florida it is, but in New York they had that one case where the girl actually got prosecuted. Hey, what's up, Lefty Lulz? Rating the channel. Welcome. That one chick, she talked her boyfriend into suicide, right? Like, and he was in the truck and she had him like do the whole exhaust in the garage thing, and she's like screaming at him to like keep going.
Yeah, get back in there, all that stuff.
Yeah, get back in there, you pussy. And he's like, okay. I guess she was right. Like that's pretty. Like I can't get back in there. What kind of man lives? Very weird. But that happened there. So I don't know if this is the same. I mean, it's not quite right. Like because this was the ketamine case, right?
It was a ketamine therapy case, I think.
Yeah, Maya had they were trying to get her ketamine therapy because it was like working. And then the hospital was like telling them that no, like she shouldn't be on it and stuff like that, and saying there was an overdose risk, which is insane. Like it's so hard to overdose on ketamine. Like, but anyway, okay, I'm remembering a little bit more of this.
We have an actual causality problem.
Yeah.
And so this probably winds up with the Florida Supreme Court. And I figure like you have to redo the odds on the probability of them ruling one way or the other just based on John Hopkins' conduct in trial court, because, the courts don't really like being messed around with. They want you to behave like a civilized person, in a professional decorum. And this sort of, this table of Algonquin table or some sort of discussion where we actually have, an exchange of learned people.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine both the Court of Appeals and the Florida Supreme Court might take note of Johns Hopkins' actions in multiple different ways. And you have to rescore the probability of them winning on this legal issue just based on their own
conduct,
flagrant conduct.
Like we're supposed to have some decorum, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to uphold a certain standard as an attorney when you swear in and you practice, and you're supposed to be, the legal barometer that people trust and want to confide in and counsel. They want you to counsel them, right? And you're supposed to avoid the appearance of impropriety. This is one of the most improper things that I have ever seen.
I agree. And the only other thing which blew my mind arguably more than this, not for its reprehensibility, but just for the inherent illogic of it, was when Johns Hopkins lawyers were objecting to plaintiff asking for a reduction in damages.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, now you're taking a position that's adverse to your own client, right? You serve the client, which supposedly is why you're writing this Juror 1 memorandum garbage in some theory. And your client has been ordered by the jury, pay $5 million. And plaintiff is over here like, how about $1?
Right.
And you're actually objecting to it and saying they can't ask for us to pay less. They can't ask that we pay less. So that's the only other thing that is more confusing to me, because how is that not like just directly adverse to your client's interests?
Yeah, it's
well, maybe their client wanted that though. Like, I mean, that's a simple answer. How is that not adverse to the client's interest? Well, it's because it's what they asked.
Yeah, a hospital would have a reason to not want to accept any settlement, because if they accept a settlement, that's kind of admitting guilt.
Well, and I think what they're saying is, they were offering $5 million, but then like they were asking for some reduction or whatever. But like there are reasons that they might take that reduction. or might not want to take that reduction because reducing it might make them look cold or callous. Like if they're wanting to pay out $5 million to this family, part of that consideration for Johns Hopkins is a PR move, right? Like we'll get a headline that says Johns Hopkins agrees to pay $5 million to the family of this person. And so when they say, we'll take $1, Johns Hopkins is like, no, we want to pay out more, like, because they don't want to. You don't want a headline that Johns Hopkins pays $1 for the wrongful suicide of this mother. Like, that's a bad headline for them. They would much rather pay $5 million. I mean, it's Johns Hopkins. They have billions of dollars in their trust fund or whatever. It's well-funded hospital. He's going to be okay. But so, like,
I thought they appealed it though. They're not paying anything.
They appealed it now. Like, but again, this is back a year ago. So they're questioning, and this is a settlement proposal or something like that. But they're saying, like, why wouldn't they take a lesser thing? Isn't that a disservice to your client? It's like, well, no, not necessarily. The client might want to pay more because there are other considerations than just the damages that are involved.
It's almost like they're taking it so personally.
Yeah.
That they forgot who their client was or who they represent. It's like almost like a personal affront to them, which is so weird, in my opinion. I mean, as a plaintiff's lawyer, and that's my area of practice, I would always take my clients' cases very personally, but not to the point where I forgot who my client was.
Well, I mean,
advocating for my client.
Yeah, I mean, a lawyer's obligation is to act zealously. You don't necessarily have to get personally involved.
Mhm.
And one of the benefits of having a lawyer is a little bit of distance because you get a bit of a perspective as someone who might be able to see a different picture.
Right.
So I probably would be less personally interested, but that's also in service to the client. So that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm an empath, so I absorb other people's emotions like my own. I took on a Catholic church on behalf of like 50 or 60 victims of clergy sex abuse. And all those cases were outside the statute of limitations in New York. So
I appreciate that, but you can just go with the logic of sexual assault is bad.
Yeah. No, true.
You shouldn't do that.
No, yeah, that's a bad thing to do. Yeah, and then shuffle them around, and then let them keep molesting more people, and that's great.
Yeah.
Who's got some questions for Kurt?
Okay.
Let's see. I don't know. What do you think's gonna happen with regard to you think they'll be sanctioned monetarily? You think he'll just refer it to the here in New York we have the grievance committee, so I don't know what they call it in Florida, but nobody wants that. Like nobody wants that.
My expectations are so low because the faffing around that has been done in this case is truly unfathomable. Like 15 motions for the eye.
Oh, this conversation is really stale. Like, I want Kurt to sing pretty soon. I think it's coming up in just a minute.
Cloud data, or apologize. 15 hearings, 35 motions, 52 summary judgment orders. That doesn't make any sense. The IJ has never been produced. That doesn't make any sense. So it's obvious that the judges
being bad, but I wanted her to see my basement.
Hold on, let me. What was that?
I felt really bad about lying to her about SA being bad, but I wanted her to see my basement.
The shit that you guys chat is so funny.
that have touched this have not been enforcing their orders. And Johns Hopkins conduct has been getting worse and worse and worse because no one's stopping them. No one's putting them in the penalty box with the whacking stick. The whacking stick is your friend. So, I would have lost my patience long ago, and I would have defaulted these guys long ago based on.
You won't be a judge, Kurt. You will never be a judge.
This stuff, it's nonsense.
Well, I mean, like, that's what I tell my kids. Like, you need ramifications for your behavior. If you grow up a Nepo baby and you never have ramifications for your behavior, and, that's why some of these guys get away with the things that they do, because they never get caught and they never get in trouble. And, it's just keep pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
Is like what they did.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah, like the phones were dropped in acid, or they're just all lost. I'm like, there's no way on this earth. First of all, it's cloud data, so your phone's being lost is immaterial. And second of all, I don't even believe the phones were lost. There's no way 15 phones get lost. So that's whereas I as judge is like, show cause. And you produce the 15 declarations. I'm like, yeah, still don't believe you. So I'm going to start issuing sanctions till you give me the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, but always says uncivil law. Everyone seems afraid to say that. I agree. There are no consequences. I just don't get it. But I think that's why there has to be in this case, because it's not just about them anymore. And it's not even just about Maya anymore. This is about the entire jury system.
And has been
really
well
is.
pointed out, attorneys like Girardi and Murdaugh, because of their larger than life personas, got away with so much. I particularly liked where Girardi was directly interfering with the bar review committees and making sure that
Oh my God, this conversation is fucking boring. Can we, Kurt, sing, you bitch? Hold on, how time? Oh, it's like we're right on it, like a minute or less.
by direct action they wouldn't take action against them. I thought that was a nice touch.
Hey, I guess you got to do what you can. I find this unbelievable, and I think
It's okay. He
really
only
gonna
stole
do
$250
something.
million from the client. No big deal.
Yeah, no big what. Well, that's more than Murdoch, right?
I
Rain
think
Man.
Bird only stole like $30 million from the client. He wasn't in Girardi territory.
Yeah, true. That's what I mean. So, maybe
Yeah.
Murdoch shouldn't get such a bad punishment. Rain Man, thank you for your super chat. The boo box needs to be a thing in the legal system. There's one person in the chat who says, I'll still serve. Recovery chat says, I'll still serve on a jury. These hacks don't scare me.
Fair.
Good. It's good. You're stronger than most people. I think most people are gonna be like, no thanks, I don't need this. Kurt, perfect pink background for your Barbie girl song. Oh, okay, you're gonna sing for us because we'll do this again.
Oh, great.
You know what? I'll even give you the floor. You want to sing?
I can. I mean, I did Barbie Girl earlier on my own stream, but if you want to do it, I'll do it for you.
Oh.
Why is Kurt singing Barbie Girl? You ready for this?
Is in a Barbie world?
Are you ready for this? Can someone be ready for this? Like our chat? Here we go. After this, we're gonna probably finish up the super tips and any missed super chats, and we're gonna wrap it up and go to bed because it's almost 3 a.m. I'm tired. I'm not used to streaming like super late all the time. I got to get back into like being used to that because then I have to wake up pretty early most mornings still.
Okay, you can do it for me. Go ahead.
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life is plastic. It's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Imagination, life is your creation. I'm a blonde bimbo girl in a fantasy world. Dress it up, make it tight. I'm your dolly. Yo, go rock and roll. You're a fabulous thing. Touch me here. Feel me there. Hanky panky. You can touch. You can play.
Okay, the face he's making, he's like getting into. He's like, ooh, yeah, holy shit.
If you say I'm always yours, oh, whoa, whoa.
At what point do I get the hook?
Get the hook.
Why would you get the hook?
No,
what was that?
Get the hook. She's gonna get the hook, like Gong Show pulling
yeah.
off the stage, or what's it? Not
Thank
Gong
God.
Show.
I'm gonna hooker them. Like, get out. Fuck that. That was horrible.
I think they were just gonna fight.
That's
so
amazing. Wait,
it's
look what
so
Jason says.
fantastic and glorious.
Did you see the movie? Did you see the Barbie movie?
Now they're talking about the Barbie movie.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, no.
He sounded like he got upset when she said she was gonna get the hook. Like, what do you mean get the hook? I sing great.
It's one of those things where like it's like no, calm down, Kurt, calm down. It's gonna be okay. Like, it was just a joke. Calm down. Really?
I am now deaf in my left ear. Thank you, Nick. I have your toilet backs up into shower while you're in it.
It will. It will. Let's see. Ocean Redux says, wait, we got that one. TMF Squid says, hospital accused mom of abuse via Munchausen by proxy. State immediately took the kid away without any hearing or investigation. Then the hospital treats kid like ish and doesn't allow contact. Effed up. Yeah, very similar to the there was that's a Maya case. What was the other one? Fuck. I was just talking about this. That was at Boston Children's Hospital was the one I was thinking of. It was I'll think of the name in a little bit. Ocean Redux says, Nick, I'd rather rewind time and watch you play Elden Ring and shitpost with Jim than watch this last dono. Well, I appreciate all the donos. Thank you very much for that, Ocean Redux. Yeah, maybe we'll be doing some video games at some point coming up. Risk of Rain 2 has a new DLC dropping in a day or something like that. I haven't played video games in years now at this point. I just don't I stopped wanting to play them. I had other stuff to do.
Take up a lot of time.
Jim, my tism was showing extra that night.
Okay. We're going to do this for...
She wants that sweet, sweet micropene seed to ensure the bloodline.
No, she doesn't. Don't do that to her. I don't know her enough to do that.
Remember when Kurt decided sending a ceases and desist to Super Tips
to
stop the mocking, and now it's gotten worse. It's like how explains law.
Yeah, he Streisanded himself into that.
Holy shit. There are sucked balls at the same time. That might be the greatest painful Kurt moment I've seen.
I don't know, man. Like that, that singing was not good or interesting or anything, really. It was terrible and boring. That whole conversation there was no chemistry between the two. There's no back and forth. There's nothing happening there. I didn't like it. But someone sent it to me and they're like, hey, he sings. And I was like, oh, well, I got to check that out. It's just a rule. It's the rule of the world.
What's on the horizon for you, Nick? Courtney Clenny coming up soon, right?
No, it got pushed to first quarter of next year. So it's going to be a little bit still. I'm thinking of trying to find a trial and seeing what's around. But
that Antonio Brown trial should be good that'll be covered. Any hearings? The football player.
Oh yeah, he
just got extradited back from Dubai.
Yeah, that should be good. There's also like that. Yeah, someone mentioned earlier that one where the chick was she was having an affair with the guy's stepson. She cuts off the guy's head or whatever. Like, so that sounds pretty cool.
What?
Yeah, she's like with this guy, and then she has an affair with his stepson, and so she decapitates him, which is logical. Like that's how I would handle that situation too. Nakadashi Tomodachi says, Kurt said he will review your 21st May 2024 stream. Okay, go ahead. It was a disaster. I was so drunk and on so many drugs in that stream. Like, I don't think it's a secret.
I think it was your best stream ever.
It was the most impactful, I think.
It touched many people.
Life-altering stream.
Caused many people to be touched. I don't know. Listen,
I didn't remember. So I blacked out I got up to go to the bathroom, right? And I was told later I was gone for like 45 minutes to the bathroom. I had no idea. I thought it was up there for 5, maybe 10 minutes, and then came back downstairs. I had no fucking clue. At that point, I was already blackout drunk. I had no memory of what happened afterwards. I woke up the next morning. I had like a vague memory of some of the stuff that happened, but it seemed like it was like from streams like weeks prior. And I was like, oh, I wonder when that happened. I think I remember that or something like that. That's weird. But I had no idea that it happened the day before. And then like people were telling me about it, and I was like, I'm going to go take that stream down right now. Like, cause it sounds like it was much worse. And April and Lady Rackets were telling me like, they're like, you were really drunk. last night. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, I mean, I drank some. I had no idea. It was not good. TMF Squid says there's a lesson here, guys. Don't let yourself be a 50-year-old incel. Just go to the bunny ranch. It's cheaper than being a weird old fig. Ocean Redux says, oh, blast from the past. That was so fun. It wasn't fun. I got arrested because of it. And I would go up to see, it was, that's what, that night is when I got the black eye that I had in my mugshot. Because I went upstairs after the show and I was like, well, I'm going to do some cocaine. And Lady Ragged says, I'm going to bed. And April says, I'll do some coke too. And so I poured out, 2 lines and I did mine. April wasn't, she was in the other room still. I did mine. And then, I fell and hit my face on my bathroom counter. And that's why I had the black eye. And, I said at the time that I tripped on a dog toy, which is, I think, true. I think that's true, but it was mostly because I didn't actually pour out cocaine. About a minute and a half later, like April came in, she's like, are you okay? I heard a loud crash. I was like, yeah, no, I'm fine. What's going on? And she goes and she does the line I had poured out for her. And these are pretty substantial. And she says, ow, like, ow, what was that? That's not coke. And I said, oh shit. And she said, did you pour out ketamine? And I start giggling because, like, what do you do? Right? It's like, I said, we need to go lay down. We need to get out of this bathroom and go lay down because this is going to hit really soon. And she wasn't super familiar with it at the time. And I was like, it's going to be okay. Like, we'll go. And we didn't make it to the bed. Fell on the floor, just collapsed on the floor, face down, like on the carpet, because it was like it hit hard before we got there. So it was kind of wild, but it was fine. Like in the long.
Anytime I ever did ketamine, it was always like tiny little.
Yeah, you can do the little bumps of it. You kind of just feel drunk for like 30 minutes. It's kind of cool that way, and I know some people would do that like out at clubs and stuff, but that's crazy because like it feels like it wears off, but it does linger in your system and eventually you will drop. Like you'll drop into a paralytic K-hole.
Same thing happens with GHB.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, but
yeah. 1 minute you're fine, next thing you're on the floor in the club.
That happened. I got I don't know if it was GHB or Rohypnol, but I think I intercepted a date rape drink when I was in Dallas for the Elijah Schaefer, his show. And I went to this Red River bar, which is like a big country bar or whatever. And I was just having drinks with some people who were there. I'd had very little. I'd had like 3 or 4 drinks, which at the time was not going to do anything. Right. Had like 3 or 4 drinks. And then, I woke up on the floor of the bathroom and all my credit cards were spread out, but they were all there. Like nothing was stolen. And, I had no idea, but that was the bouncer was like opening the bathroom stall. Cause I guess someone probably saw me like laying on the ground and they picked me up and they thought I had just been drinking too much, I guess is my thought. Cause they're like escorted me out and they're like, we're going to get you a cab. You got to go back to your hotel or whatever. I was like, what the fuck happened? I had no idea. And the next day was the worst feeling I've never felt that horrid. Just, it was so gross, but I'd only had like 3 or 4 drinks for the night, which should not have put me unconscious on a bathroom floor. Right. Like that. Not at all. But yeah, that next day was awful. That was the next day was the first day I met Ryan, the editor, in person. And I'm like, well,
you sure you didn't meet him the night before?
Yeah, maybe I did.
He's getting payback.
I'm carrying his babies. Here we go. What? Look at this.
I wonder what Adderall cocktail will work best for Kurt's disposition. Now, I'm not a fentanyl guy by choice, but I'll keep my options open.
Cheeto.
But let's see. Nakadashi Tomodachi says maybe you tripped on your Father of the Year award.
Possible. That's a big award.
I have one of those. Like I got one. My kids gave it to me. No, I didn't trip on that. I think it was a dog toy. Dog toy plus ketamine, man. Like it was hitting me already. It was just a disaster. That was a disaster of a day. Like, I mean, or of a stream and shit. It obviously crumbled my life. It was a bad thing. But you can't look back and just like wallow in it. It happened. It's over. And you got to move forward.
That's right. Keep moving forward. Do what you got to do.
Yeah. But you asked what's up for me going forward, and it's just I'm trying to nail down just consistently streaming several times a week. I'll do a member show this weekend, something good and for the members, and then we're going to try and keep the weekday shows free for everybody. So that's the plan.
Cool.
But that's it, man. Well, thanks for popping on and
Hey,
chat.
thanks for having me. I was only half joking about coming on. I was like,
Yeah.
I knew Joe was going to come on. So
It was a good time to bring you on. Like we got to chat, and we'll have to do it again sometime. And I got to pop on your show sometime.
I
too.
can't believe it's the first time I've ever spoke to you.
Yeah. No kidding. Well, you have to sing Barbie Girl now, like Kurt.
No, that's not happening.
All right, man. Well, let me kick you out, and then I'll
take it.
Adios. All right, guys. That was Jim Tells You. Go check him out. He has a channel on YouTube. He talks politics and news pretty much every night. So I think so. Go give him a watch. Maybe find some things interesting that he's covering, and want to see what he's saying. You can do that. As for the rest of y'all, silly scamps, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to go ahead and pack it up for the night. Like I said, I gotta be up early these days for now, but we'll lock in a schedule pretty soon here. For now, I plan on streaming tomorrow night and then sometime over the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure. Looking for a members show. If you're interested in the members show, we might do a Kurt video. We might do something else. We'll see. But we'll have something fun. Like, that's the whole thing. And if you want to participate in that, you can join membership on YouTube, or you can join up on Locals. If I can ever figure out how to incorporate members only on Rumble, or get members only on Rumble, then we'll do that as well. But until then, we'll keep it to YouTube and Locals, and hopefully we'll see you there. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Really appreciate y'all being here. And until next time, peace. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some law-splaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes madder, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an ardbeg, a bow, more the spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea, post on Twitter as we hear Lost Planning tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the throng better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Dante to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea, post on Twitter as we hear Lost Planning tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the throng better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have